All right, we're here at the second session of Get Serious and Go Pro with Your Flow. It is June 4th, 2023, and today we're talking about niches. What niches will I focus on in flow arts? And we discussed that we probably don't want to focus on just one niche. It's not diverse enough, both for our audiences or our income streams, as well as for our natural interests. As human beings living in this day and age of information overload, our capacity is greater than just focusing on one thing that you want to do when you grow up, but probably no more than 5 things, else you start to spread too thin. Don't get me wrong, you can end up branching off and you will do 5 props at a certain point and do 2 or 3 other things on the side that complement those 5 props. But, everything is an art, and the more you invest in one art, the more niche and specific and special you become with that prop. Where at a certain point, you're not going to, if you've been focusing a lot on hoop and staff or on like poi and staff, and you pick up a hoop and some of the things apply, you definitely don't look as good as someone else who specializes in that prop. So better to find that person and hire them or have them work alongside you than you spread yourself too thin and then neglecting someplace else that you need to give more focus on to make sure you remain in the black. You remain like financially more or less stable in that area. So for me, I can just tell you right off the bat, Catherine and I, we focus on flow arts. We have a few different props that each one of us specialize in, as well as a couple that we specialize in together, like partner poi. We focus on yoga and qigong. We ended up having to focus on content creation. That wasn't expected on this trip, but it could have been because we started recording for a flow arts company a tutorial a week each, which ended up turning into a tutorial each, a blog post, and an Instagram post a week. And so that ended up becoming the other thing. Content creation and social media, we consider that a thing, because marketing in general. Mm-hmm. And then the other things is how to travel professionally, basically learning about every single country that we're going to. That is a huge thing that we study, and now parenting on top of that. So that's really our 5 things right there.
Not to mention learning a new language. Did you mention that?
Well, that goes in with the travel.
The traveling.
Yeah, that goes in with the traveling for sure.
Which now it's not really applicable, but for the majority of our traveling so far in Latin America, it was all Spanish. So doing business, I kind of needed to know how to speak a little bit of Spanish to carry on a conversation and be professional and have an exchange.
Mm-hmm. So no matter what you decide to do, which by the way, our flow arts also diversifies into 2 things, teaching as well as performing, but the content creation and social media and performing flow arts go hand in hand together, and the teaching yoga and the teaching flow arts also go hand in hand together. So it's not fully like too many things. The performing and the teaching of flow arts for us is 2 different things, but that combine into one of the other things that we do. So we don't necessarily count it as 2 things. We don't make props. That's something that a lot of other people do. We could make props. Catherine was making props with her crochet. And I was just talking with Herman. Herman makes these really cool string arts up here, and we're talking that he's sold some of them, but it's challenging to do because it's very time cost ill-efficient. It's easy to sell them, but it takes a while to make them, and so you end up totaling it out, and your work hours don't necessarily equate. Catherine was making custom-made tops and bottoms, like bathing suits and stuff for people, and they sell easily, and she made custom orders like that, but it would take her like 20 hours to complete one. So even though she sold it for like $250, it still was like less than minimum wage that she was actually getting paid, and then shipping on top of that.
If you're planning on traveling, then you have to consider shipping.
Yeah, there's the time is something you have to consider. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you were to choose and really love making props, and you made a consistent one, and you start to get a lot of demand for it, do that, because I think it's like as if a painter made paintbrushes or something. You can essentially make it perfect to your specifications, really put a lot of love and energy into that, people see that because you're hanging around them a lot, and they end up buying from you because you make specialty items. And you will find an efficient way to make them too. It's something that I really feel the demand in the flow arts market needs is, or not a demand, that there is a demand in the flow arts market, is simple props that just work, that are just really efficient, that last a long time, that are just made simply. I loved the company when they're still really booming with Home of Poi, because they would make everything super efficient, and you could piece it apart, and you could buy every single piece, or you could buy the whole piece together, and it was very affordable. Surprisingly, the only catch was you had to wait a while for the shipping because they shipped from New Zealand. That was really the only catch. So today we're going to talk about representing yourself, how to perform, in essence, whether you're teaching, whether you're performing a show, or whether you're making social media. So go ahead and write down today's primary topic, which is interconnecting whatever you're going to do with performance. And write down, what are you going to push yourself to perform in? Are you going to push yourself to perform on video? Are you going to push yourself to perform as a teacher? Are you going to push yourself to perform as a performer or as a prop maker, or whatever it is that you feel are going to be your niches as it relates to flow arts? And I like to pass it through your mind that whatever you choose, you need to get in your head that you're going to need to devote a minimum of 5 years to. I don't know if it's going to take you that long, and maybe in all likelihood it's going to take you longer than that. But I think in order for you to become something very niche, very stable in your market, very sought after, you're going to need to put in a minimum of 5 years into it. And maybe you've already put in a few years into it, so you're already doing well if you've practiced, because that does count. But I'm talking like 5 years into learning about social media and how it works, 5 years how to create videos and editing and how that works, in order to get to that point where you finally start to actually really stand out. Not to say that that's straight across the board. Some people have a certain degree of uniqueness or spiritedness in their content or in their performing and whatever they do, and for whatever reason it goes viral. I'm not saying I'm a master person at knowing what goes viral. I'm not. But I'm definitely a master person at knowing about how not hard work, but a lot of consistent work will pay off no matter what. And that's what I'm teaching you guys, is how to gain certainty, not shoot in the dark and hit it. So I don't know. I have very few things that have gone viral, but I have a couple of experiences, and I can tell you very plainly, I did not expect it at all, and I've not been able to replicate it, even though I've tried. And none of it was my best work, which is strange, You think, oh, it's your best stuff that goes viral. Very few and far between.
Did you find that kind of attention that certain things drew to you helped draw attention to what you consider your best work? Was it like a foot in the door that helped you grow?
For a moment.
Okay.
For a moment, but then it died off.
Like the whole viral craze, it goes up and then it disappears again, unless you viral after viral after viral.
So, I see what you're asking, and the way that it was preached to me is that it never goes back down. Once you make that jump, it never goes back down. And the way that I see it is, it doesn't necessarily go back down, but it doesn't get any higher immediately.
Theoretically, or?
No, like imagine a line of growth, like a normal chart. And then you're steadily growing. It's just, you are growing, but you're not noticing. Then all of a sudden, boom, you have something viral. But then immediately it goes right back into that that natural.
Plateau.
Yeah, not like a plateau, but almost a plateau. It kind of feels like a plateau.
It's still growth.
It's growth, but it's, and I won't say at a snail's pace, but sometimes it feels like at a snail's pace. And then it'll bump up again. And you'll never go down from that. But the thing that they don't necessarily tell you is you get used to that growth. And it doesn't feel, you forget that bump up pretty quickly. And so does everybody else. Especially in today's day when things go viral left, right, and center, and you know how much is out there. It's amazing to me that anyone can even actually become a celebrity anymore. Because everybody gets a little taste of that celebrity for a moment, but then it completely dies away. And we all have this, not numbness, but we get used to it. We get used to something and everything kind of just passes by the wayside. Within a few days, you've already forgot about it, and then you're on to the next thing. You're probably not going to be any different. And so the only thing that really you can rely on is your own consistency and finding a way to keep loving what you do. Because you will keep growing, guaranteed. If you keep adding energy to something, it will grow. You will get a little spike of viralness, and maybe you'll figure it out, and maybe you'll connect with the right people that your numbers will start to go quantum. Catherine and I are still working towards that. I would say our growth at this point is exponential, but it hasn't gone quantum for any longer than a couple little things. And those little things were so brief, like it's hard to say whether or not it went quantum at all. I've yet to, the first time it happened, honestly, the very first time it happened, actually it's happened twice. The first time, we were in Peru, and we finally met someone who had seen our tutorials online and sought us out because they knew we were coming to Peru. That happened one time. And we put out 250 videos on YouTube. The second time was at the rope dart class, and this exact same relative story that happened to me. I was at Pacific Fire Gathering in Oregon, taking a rope dart course, and the instructor, I was like, this guy looks so familiar. Where do I know this guy from? And then it hit me. I was like, oh my God, I've learned from you on YouTube. And so I knew where he was, even though I couldn't remember his name and stuff like that. The exact same thing happened to me in my rope dart class here, where someone was like, I know this guy from somewhere. What is that? Oh yeah, I know you. You're from YouTube. And that was it. Literally 2 times that this thing has happened. It's pretty tough, you know. And there's only a small handful of people probably that anyone would, that all of us would know who he is. Who knows Nick Woolsey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Playboy.
Who knows Ben Drexler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget that his name's Ben.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Drex Factor.
Yeah.
Drex Factor. Who knows Sam Toby?
Yeah. Flo Mayhem.
Flo Mayhem. Okay, you probably know that name before you know her actual name, though.
I knew her name as soon as I found out who Flo Mayhem was.
But then there's a ton of people out there that I know their faces, but I can't even tell you their name right now. Yeah.
Yeah. To add on that, like everybody knows Mr. Beast probably.
Yeah, right.
But the way he worked on it and the way he meticulously looks at the video, like looks at the intro, looks at the thumbnail, looks at I think he has a video course on how to do these videos because a lot of people think, oh, it's just a stupid show, but he puts like a lot of effort into how to build up the payoff. Like he always begins his videos with explaining what a video is about, what you're going to see, what the payoff is. Like he has a whole mythology. So perhaps you can look it up and send it to the group.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole study about how to attract the most viewers.
And I definitely not going to put it past you on that and his success, stuff like that. But something that I've noticed is there is a line between doing something healthily for money and unhealthily, between selling out even to yourself and not selling out but loving what you do. And my objective for everyone is not for you to go viral, is not for you to become the next Ben Drexler or whatever like that. He puts so much time and energy, and honestly, if I could trade places with him, I would not. You know, if I could trade places with Mr. Beast, I would not. Because I have something that maybe they have and maybe they don't. I don't know. And that is freedom. I have freedom to be myself 100% of the time. I have freedom to not worry about my reputation. I have freedom to be able to make mistakes and screw up, and no one even knows. So even though that's not my objective is to go viral. My objective is to be as big as that. But in my own authentic way, not in a way that I studied from someone and put in countless hours, wasting into the night and risking my health on it. Nothing is more valuable than your own physical, mental, emotional health. And I'm never going to preach that you should sacrifice it for what you do for a living. I don't believe that we have to be struggling artists. I believe that it's a struggle, especially initially when you're gathering up the momentum, and that you do have to push things to an almost unhealthy degree at first until you kind of get the ropes of it and understand what sort of time allocation. But now, Catherine and I, after all that we put time and energy into, we literally start the clock on our phones. We put in 5 hours a day each, or as close to that as we can. Between 4 and 5 hours a day, we are focusing on something that goes into what we do to be financially abundant or financially capable. And that either means something directly related to marketing, networking, training. And by training, it's not just warming up. It's not just practicing the same tricks. No, we're doing something that's challenging ourselves.
Which you should have your timer on right now.
I already know that this is covering the rest of my thing.
Yeah,
like this counts right now. These 2 hours, this counts for me, right? I don't know whether or not Catherine's
You have
counting.
2 hours and 55 minutes left, technically.
Okay, so I'll have an hour more after that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. We don't always reach it, but it gets us always thinking, I'm putting in hours a day towards this.
Focused time.
That being said, too, this is a side tangent that I would mostly teach in the yoga and qigong realm, spiritual stuff. But there is definitely an art to holding a vibration and experiencing magic. It's just not so much a science because it's something you're going to experience. And sometimes you're just going to be lucky. It's going to come out of nowhere and you're just going to feel totally aligned and totally enthusiastic. It's what I witness in you, Ron. You've got that right now, And I would not be the least bit surprised if all of a sudden you did have a huge quantum peak all of a sudden. The question is, though, how much study helps to sustain it and how much study actually hurts it? Because your own mind can get in the way of it. I'm just studying this thing. I'm going to quit on this tangent here right after this because I haven't mastered the ability to teach it, though it comes into my teachings naturally a little bit here and there. There is a person who is known to be able to win sweepstakes in contests over and over and over. Has won like hundreds of them. People who have won the lottery multiple times and stuff like that. The best I can say is that person is either figured out or rather doesn't have any mental resistance towards manifestation. Most of us are locked into some degree of reality, passed down through our ancestors, passed in through us and society and our parents. So our brains, and this is a good thing in some way, because you could accidentally manifest horrendous things if you have nightmares or bad thoughts and you pull that energy into you instead. It's just like a dream. In your dream, yeah, it's great if you have a good dream and you're manifesting all this wonderful stuff, but then what if you think about horrible things? So highly going back to that meditation point, if you can meditate on neutralizing and then practice manual, positive thought, harmonious thought, enthusiastic, spirited thought, fantasy building. I like to call it professional daydreaming. Put some energy into that because it does manifest. It does work. I'm just saying you can't always rely on it. And I have tried, and sometimes it's paid off in this trip. Most of the time it's gotten us down to absolute zero. Again, because I'm not living enough in reality, I guess. And I don't live very much in reality. Just enough.
But what's nice about zero is it's pure potential.
Yeah, when you get down to zero, that's when you get to experience authentic faith that the universe or something out there's got your back.
Yeah, that's when you start to discover real magic of the world.
Yeah.
And I actually encourage you to go out and face that fear of hitting zero.
You very well may have to, at a certain point, experience...
Especially if you're traveling.
Yeah, especially if you're traveling. You're going to get into unexpected situations, you're going to run out of money, and you're going to have to see what happens. And you're going to have to learn how to keep a level head on your shoulders because you're not going to want to respond negatively to what you think the negative stimulus is. You have to trust that this too shall pass. This is going to make me stronger in one way, shape, or form, or more resourceful. Something is going to come from every seeming curse in your life. And you're going to remember that because it's easy for me to tell you now because I've been through it so many times. But what matters is for you guys to remember when you're in the thick of the stress. It doesn't matter if you remember it when it's convenient for you. It matters that you remember this and you trust in it and you try it when it's inconvenient for you. when it humbles you to shut your mind up, to shut someone else up, to go take space and just chill. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Because with that, you'll be able to take consistent steps up in the direction you want to go. And that's what's going to keep you afloat. That's what's going to keep you growing. If you respond to a negative stimuli in a very negative way, you could lose a lot of traction very quickly. Because you could hurt somebody, you could hurt yourself, you could make an impact on your conscious mind. I'm not saying that holding on and trying to build your reputation is the most important thing, but if you damage your own reputation with yourself, that's an important thing. If you damage the way you think about yourself because of a mistake that you made, be careful of that, because you're going to injure your mental, emotional body, and it takes a while to heal from that. You got to do a lot of forgiveness, a lot of learning, and a lot of, humility to build that back. That energy
what if
back
you
up.
manifest negativity then? Because then you're also responsible for manifesting the negativity in your life.
Yeah, and I know.
It's a little bit tricky.
All that I can say is, if you can at all possibility, trust that it's not a negative stimuli, and all you have to do is neutralize your own negative defining of it. You don't necessarily have to do anything about it, except internally try not to define it in a way that basically defines that something in the universe is out of order. Like, we have the power, of course, to manifest those sort of things and to experience them. There's plenty of bad things going on in the world, but if we can learn how to neutralize our mind and see it for the bigger picture of why is this happening, or at least that this is happening, I'm not going to add more energy, I'm not going to invest in this happening until I know how I want to invest in it, or to not invest in it at all and just let it pass me by. Because there's so many things in life that happen. Something that often goes through my mind, is going through my mind right now, is ask yourself, in 5 years, will this matter? And if it won't, don't do anything about it. Let it pass you by. It's okay. The only question after that is the two expressions. Where is it that you don't sweat the small stuff? And where is it the straw that broke the camel's back? These two expressions, as in little things build up until it breaks you, but also little things you can let go and they don't have any effect over you. So just be aware. You have to start to study this for yourself. Where should you not sweat the small stuff? Nip it in the bud. Let small things pass you by like they didn't even happen. But where on the other side are those little things actually you're just sweeping them under the rug? You're trying to ignore them, but that energy is still building up and is going to break you at a certain point. You have to learn how to do the humility process. That's why I say before every gig, you clear your foundation. Start as neutrally as you can. And if there's something that you need to deal with, that you absolutely is going to disrupt your gig, have the humility to cancel your gig and go take care of that thing. Because it doesn't matter, just like a house, it doesn't matter how big and awesome the structure is. If your foundation isn't level, isn't healthy, it's going to come down. And that's tough to do because your mind it sees the building, it sees the dream. It believes that you can do it, and you can do it. But what you want to do is sustain the dream. You don't want a house. You want a house that stays upright for decades. You don't want a house that stays upright and then 1 year later comes crashing to the ground. And that all has to do with the foundation, and then it all has to do with, have you meticulously put in the effort to know how to build this structure from the foundation up, steadily. In time, you'll build things beautifully, amazingly, very quickly. And that's a great place to be, but only from starting super slow, being super humble, and just really painstakingly focusing on that foundation and just the next step up. And just believe that every step after that is going to be relative to it. Once you master that, then you will start to create. That's the best way for me to theorize how someone who keeps going viral, how Mr. Beast keeps doing his thing. He started super slow and super meticulous on his craft. And over time, he celebrated the small victories. And then eventually those became big victories. And he had his science to it. The way that I see it is, even if you were to follow Mr. Beast to the T, it wouldn't be the same. Mm-hmm. Because it's you doing it. It's almost like we don't have a choice in life but to live true to ourselves. Because even if you profit in some ways, but you don't feel like your soul is in it, you don't feel like you love what you do, then what's all the money for? Just to have a lot of possession and to feel like you're better than other people? It's not going to True wealth is the feeling of wealth. And you can feel wealthy with or without money, with or without great stuff, or a lot of followers, or a lot of tricks, or a lot of whatever. You can still feel wealthy, which is why I say your health is what shouldn't be sacrificed. I like to say health is wealth. Yeah.
But to throw it back on you, the thing why I mentioned Mr. Beast is not like the negative things that you said from like or not negative. Like I would cherry pick what he does good, and if that is for you, then pick those nuggets.
Yeah.
And I think he has people tend to think he's just came out of nowhere, but he he did a lot of work. So
Exactly.
if you pick those things out, then you can integrate that in your life.
Yeah.
Similar to the course here, I will probably take what I need from it, and perhaps discard the things that I don't like.
100%, and I know that's true. I don't think that anybody should take my word for absolutely everything. And I've noticed this amongst every single one of my teachers. Even the best of the best teachers I've had, I don't follow them 100%. We're talking up to maybe 90% of what they do. Of what they teach, I put it into mine. And that's the maximum, and that's super rare. The majority, I pick and choose. 5% here, 10% there. Oh, that's a good idea, I'll put that. Oh, that's a bad idea, I won't listen to that. And I recognize that with all of my teachers, even my yoga teachers. When I started to learn yoga and want to teach it, I got really perplexed. I was like, oh shit, this person over here swears this is the right way. And this person over here swears that's the right way, and they're complete contracting, but they're both successful. And I kept studying it around, but then it got me confident because I was like, oh, there is no right way of doing it. I mean, there's kind of right ways. You definitely start to notice patterns of what everybody is doing, so you're like, okay, I should probably do that too. And when you pick up the patterns, and then you implement those into your life and add in your own creativity, to me, that's success. Yeah, because then you're doing what the successful people do, and you're doing stuff right, but also you're adding in your own flavor that makes you unique and more niche. All right, so that was kind of a big tangent, but I guess it's very applicable nonetheless. So let's go around the room really quickly, and I want to hear from you guys. What are your few areas, 2 to 5 areas in flow arts that you would like to focus on, that you feel called to? Because we're going to do a little exercise today. And I was hoping we would have nicer weather, but maybe we'll manifest the rain away. We'll see. But go ahead, make your notes, and then when you're all done, let's go around and talk about what each one of us are going to focus on for the next 5 years of our life. I'm not saying that's written in stone, obviously, but you do need at a certain point to put it in stone for yourself. You need to choose and you need to stick with it, because there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be plenty of reasons that you should quit. And the person who's successful versus the person who's not successful is the person who got through those times and didn't quit. It's literally that simple.
There's a really nice quote that I heard.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a master and an apprentice? Is the apprentice makes mistakes, but the master has made more and persevered.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's like...
That's why I say what makes a master, truly, to me, is not someone, actually, who has grown accepted by the mainstream as a master. A master is a student who dedicates themselves to study forever. Simple as that.
Yeah.
As soon as you know you've dedicated yourself to flow arts forever, you're a master, in my book.
To add to that, the difference between a white belt and a black belt never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It all comes down to the persistence and consistency of how much energy, how much investment you put into something. At a certain point, yeah, you'll be known as a master or, a professional in this instance in whatever it is you do. But I put people in the professional realm as the moment that you've been paid for something, legitimately paid for something, not just in tips, but someone's like, I will give you $50 to do the fire, or, I'll give you $5 to do your fire. To me, at that level, you're now a professional. You might be at a very low level of professionalism, but nonetheless, that's how I define it. So I've got more loose-based ways, because I grew a lot from my teachers because I was a very fast learner, so and a good manifester from the get-go in life. I had a good a natural way of disciplining myself and being grateful and manifesting before I even knew. I was also a very good daydreamer. So a lot of my teachers, they were very full of praise for me. And like to a degree I didn't really even need. But it got me to recognize, and all of my teachers were very good at what they did. So I received very few of those masters that really discipline you and, you know, like make you like hurt. So naturally I'm always going to reflect what my teachers did, which is give you more praise as much as I possibly can versus ridicule. I think that we all experience a tremendous amount of self-ridicule and ridicule from the outside because it's very easy to point out a negative or things that aren't good over things that are positive. So I do at the very least half of what I tell my students and people that I train are going to be on more than half positive, and then the second half, or hopefully less than half, is going to just be me analyzing and giving them as constructive pressure as possible. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to pinpoint it out, I'm going to wait for it, and I'm going to bring it to their attention when the time is right with the right words. That will not make them feel down, it won't make them feel up, but it'll get them to be like, okay, that's good. Because I've received a tremendous amount of criticism. We put 250 flow arts tutorials on there, and we are by far not the best flow artists in the world. People have really busted us. And we've even had to take a few off there because they were so bad. So poorly described. But on sometimes it was very constructive because I got to receive people's constructive feedback. I got to get paid to learn how to do flow arts from people from afar because they got to critique my stuff. But then on the flip side also, I had to learn how to humble myself and receive people's really unconstructive criticisms as either gleaming out the pearls of wisdom that were in between the lines of the harsh words that they said, or learn how to just let them go and be like, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, this person's just pissed off. Like, for
that's
whatever.
their thing, though, you know.
Yeah, I had to learn how
There's a way
to
do something.
Yeah.
There's a way to do something.
Yeah, sometimes you have to let it float off. You know, and that's kind of the difference between don't sweat the small stuff and straw that broke the camel's back. Is the people who are being harshly, constructively critique. That's the stuff that I had to take the straws off the camel's back and hold on to and make it work. You know, be grateful for that harsh like lashing and comment or whatever like that. But then the negative stuff, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to have to learn to let that shit go. Because there's nothing, at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do with it. So, and I'm not going to appease this person because it's just going to waste my time and energy trying to get someone's opinion better about me that maybe I don't even need for it to be good about me. Maybe there's a skill in not giving a shit. Where's the line between being heartless and being smart about your own heart? About not giving a shit in the right way. Okay, so let's go around the room, and I want to hear from you guys. What are your niches? What are you going to be focusing on? Can we start with you?
Yeah. Okay. So, want to introduce myself, or?
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
Yeah. My name is Halen. I live and work in Cape Town at the moment. I definitely want to travel with the flow arts and see just where exactly this leads. I mainly focus on poi and dragon staff, and I'm busy building a sparkle character, so to speak.
Sparkle character.
Yeah, so like a sparkle poi and like, you know, cages.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of the niche that I want to focus on because there's not that many people doing it, and I feel quite drawn to it.
Yeah, and that's big fire. It looks more intense than it actually is to handle. Like, it's pretty handleable to do that stuff, but it looks like you're in the fire, huh?
Yeah, it can be quite intense.
Yeah, sure. Depending on how big your cages are. Yeah.
But I can make my own protective gear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to see where that goes as well.
And you're making props too, though.
Yeah.
And you're gonna continue doing that?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So your niches are specific performance art, character building, and prop making.
Yeah, I probably will teach as well, but at the moment, there's more money in performing and making props than teaching people.
You have taught, though.
Yeah, I do teach.
Yeah. You taught at Animus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, we're gonna get to that because I'm gonna talk to you guys like I was talking to Herman before this about South Africa in particular, my professional, unprofessional perspective about where you guys are at right now.
Sure.
So we'll talk about that soon. Okay, Stephen?
Yeah, so I suppose myself, so on video performances and choreography, try to get live gigs. I want to teach, but like in person. I don't think I want to necessarily make content creation for it, but it might just inherently be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've got to get my social media, but I want to travel with it in the long run. And the POI and the staff stuff, want to focus on that. And then 1 or 2 other props just to get to you can do something flashy, but it's not the skill focus. And to like quite a high skill degree where it's more technical.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my sort of things. Yeah.
Cool. And I noticed from your performance that you put on a great display, but it's almost too great. How long have you been practicing?
A couple of years.
Couple of years, yeah. Because don't get me wrong, like we said, you should never take mine 100%. But usually what I recommend if you're my student is to learn how to calm your energy. Your energy is so ferocious and so intense and super entertaining, but it's almost like I compare it to NASCAR. People go to NASCAR not to watch the cars go around. They come to NASCAR to watch the cars crash.
Yeah.
But
Don't be NASCAR and flow arts, Just be careful. Keep up your intensity, but learn how to... I can show you some breathing techniques because maybe you're not breathing as much.
So I think it might be worse because of the music not playing for him.
The whole thing is nerve-wracking. It's literally one little sample.
It made it so much worse for him.
Yeah.
Everyone else. Sorry.
I just don't want to see you hurt yourself from the inside out or the outside in. And so when a flow artist, especially a fire spinner, comes out with the intensity that you do, I'm always like trying to breathe extra for I'm like, okay, just, but yeah, I think that you absolutely can, because even amongst everything that you do that I saw, I was like, damn, he's got some skills. He's able to wield those things like I can't wield them still. And I know, though, that an audience, too, loves fast, big fire, and you're doing really good at that. So I think that you're well on your way.
What do you think about speed? Because I know the slow ones are very visually cool, but also I sometimes see people who do speed things where they just go for the
way that I teach my students is that's great. Speed is awesome, but can you do it? Can you show me it in slow motion?
Mm-hmm.
Show it to me in slow motion and do it as slow as you possibly can, and then show me how you're able to turn it up consciously, higher and 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 higher. Don't show me from 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds. I'm not looking for a Porsche here. I'm looking for a reliable car, or a reliable, even quality luxury car that can show me that it can stay together from 0 to 60. I don't care that it takes a few extra seconds, but show me you can do it slow motion, a little faster, all the way to super fast, so I know you're doing it totally consciously.
Yeah, you build it up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw my performance, but it's similar. It's I think that for an audience, it's more interesting to see the dynamic range. So
Yes.
Going from very slow, where you can see the flickering of the flame, you can hear the difference of a flame, the big balls, and then you can go really slow, and it's okay. And similar with your expression. You can have your eyes closed, you can be in your own bubble, you can enjoy all these things, and then suddenly you can go outside.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that if I can give you feedback, I saw is very fast, but it was also your eyes were looking almost at the boy. And for me, the difference between what I feel is a performer and a juggler would look at their stools, and a performer will look at every individual person. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I think I'm good at. I'm not technically that good, but I can interact with the audience. And perhaps that's something that you could also hone a bit more in your performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Patrick I think that's spot on, right on the head, perfectly explained. And I reflected off of you because that was the same impression I had upon you upon first meeting, and then you were performing. I was like, oh, he's performing. All right. Not to say I saw that you had the expertise, but I didn't know whether you were able to handle yourself in a performance, but you did so well. with it. And so I can tell you that you're conscious about it. And every single thing that you've reflected upon me with our conversations shows me that I think you have more than you even know about yourself. You really have the wherewithal, and that's freaking epic. But he's right. And I'm going to describe it in maybe a little bit more condensed, is some performers perform for the audience, some performers perform for themselves, but the real professionals know how to go in and out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the audience, for themselves, until it's very smooth in between. I haven't even mastered it yet. I'm still performing a little bit more for myself. That's how I started. That's how I'm breaking free. I know I'm performing for an audience, but I know that first and foremost, I need to take care of myself and working outwards. Because for me, just performing, doing a performance, and no one gets hurt, nothing goes wrong, I know in the professional industry, that is the success. That is definitely a success.
Yeah.
So whether or not I really wowed people or not is irrelevant to me. Yes, I'm going for that wow, but first and foremost, I'm going for, was it passable? Did I get hurt? Did I burn myself? Did I put us into danger? Was there another? And this is something I've been ridiculed hard on, and I've got a pretty good wound, is I've done things when I was transitioning from a beginner professional floor artist to a professional, and I wasn't as safe as other people thought I should have. And even though nothing went wrong, man, they're still to this date giving me a hard time over shit that I was like, nothing went wrong at the show. I know I could have done better, but I am doing better now. But it's been so driven into me now, it's kind of left a little wake in my energy.
Also, I think that specifically the American crowd,
Yeah.
because of the fuel that you guys use, that is so important. And I'm one of those people who will hound someone about their safety.
Yeah.
Because it's all of us that will suffer if something goes wrong.
Yeah, no, I
And we have to
totally
hold
agree.
each other accountable. So not to make the person feel shit about themselves,
Yeah.
but to make them show up and actually take that seriously and listen to what people have to say, because some people have a lot of experience because they've seen shit and like.
Yeah.
Some
And
people don't think it's that important.
Yes,
Survivor.
and that's
And
my.
I don't-
Nothing ever happens and it's all fine. And,
Yeah.
until something does go wrong, and then it's a big.
we're going off on
Right.
another little
That's
tangent
tangent.
here, but yeah, so let me wrap it up with safety is overall ultimate importance. What also is as or more important is your internal vibration. I believe it goes internal vibration is the most important thing. Safety is a very close second because it's what everybody else sees. But then the third most important thing is making sure everybody is holding that internal vibration. Because that's kind of the order it goes. You don't have control over the way other people think and feel. You have more or less control over the safety equipment, and even more so, you have control over the way you're handling things internally.
Sure.
And what I haven't been able to necessarily convince people, because this is frou-frou stuff, is I'm like, everything is good because I know it is, you know? And they're
Yeah.
just like, well, I don't, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
You gotta put me at ease as well.
And it's, yeah, exactly. And I've never had anything go wrong, but I've had some really close calls. Yeah, and someone could easily look at me in the past and be like, Jesse, you really pushed the limits there. And I would say, yeah, I definitely push the limits. I'm a limit pusher kind of person. But I don't actually do it in the case. I can feel when something bad is about to happen. I can feel it, and I've learned how to stop what I'm doing and take care of whatever that energy is, no matter what. And it is getting taken care of. But that doesn't mean that the potential dangerous thing that could have happened is all of a sudden real in people's minds, and even though it didn't happen, they're like, whoa. And then they'll single out the person who's responsible. And so even if something worked out but was a really close call, it's as if that bad thing went bad and it's on you. So I'm in the process of that. But yes, until further notice, what is actually number one is safety, and that everybody values safety, because not all of us can rely or believe in the energy that connects. And no single person can necessarily control the whole of the universe around them. There's too much information. But you get a good team going.
Sure.
Everybody does the warm up together. Guarantee every single one of those shows is going to go boom, boom, boom. But it's something I'm still learning. Team building. It's getting everybody on board with both safety and internal right energy or harmonious energy holding.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's keep moving on. Ron.
Okay, all mine are kind of like connected like a spider web, so everything is connected.
Yeah, sure.
For me, the main things are stillness, flow, and yoga, and they're both pointing to a little teaching mark there or bubble.
Okay.
And then teaching can be online, in person, private, group, workshops. But then there's also this little arrow that's going off to video. I'm already doing some things on Instagram, but even with speaking with my mentor as well, he wants me to start doing some more stuff on YouTube, with the ultimate goal making me the first official like steel mesh flow educator in South Africa, where I would be able to certify people in teaching steel mesh flow.
Nice.
And then also under the video, a way that I want to get to that goal is I want to make some kind of contribution to steel mesh flow, particularly by creating a course, taking the level 1 and level 2 curriculum and converting that specifically to fire mace as like a niche thing. So that people who are familiar with the work or have never done the work now have a safe way to learn the fire mace, which is completely, well, I guess new for everybody. So
Yeah. I've not seen it before.
yeah. But that's the grand plan. And
I've seen people work with metal weaponry in martial arts and floors, but never with the similar vibe that you do.
Yeah.
It's much more like Steven performs most of the time where you're like, oh shit, okay, we don't have to practice. I'm never gonna fight you ever, alright? You win. It's too intense of an energy, but you do it with a lot more mindfulness, which is very niche
and
for sure.
For me that's very, very, very important with I guess for everybody here, the fire puts you into that flow state that just puts you in almost like a meditative zone when you're just fully focused. The cool thing with the mace is that happens to you because of the weight of the mace. So I don't know if you guys know anything about like flow state theory or anything of how it works, but it's that moment when skill and difficulty cross, and it's right at that threshold. That's when you go into a flow state. So it shouldn't be too challenging that you can't do it and get frustrated, but it should also not be too easy. So adding weight to the implement as well challenges you.
Right.
Yeah. And now adding weight and fire is insane.
I often say too, you have a different sort of risk because your prop could hurt or kill somebody.
Literally on impact.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just setting them on fire, but
yeah. But also I recognize and I seek the opportunity with myself and my students that when they get in the flow state, then give them challenges.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden the challenges becomes relatively easy until they get out of the flow state and remember how challenging it is, and then it falls to challenging again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always like get people in that flow state, and then immediately after that, I give them something I know that they've been struggling with, and pretend like they already have it and believe they already have it, and boom, it clicks for them. And I know that little alchemy, that little special ingredient, when it's there, start adding new ingredients to it, like almost as quickly as you can, because it's like that sweet spot. You're in the vortex, you're in that moment. So cool that you're studying that much. That's gonna, I think, take you far, because we're gonna go and talk about teaching here in a moment. I'll tackle that all at once, but thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah. All right, Herman?
Cool. So my thing is just, I've been performing with my juggling and the boogieing. It's kind of not a lot of people do juggling and fire juggling and so on. So I want to do acts kind of with that, or like performances, and then incorporating my prop making, so making fire toys. And then also content creation. I do play with a lot of toys and things, so I can make videos of things for like Flow DNA and Fire Tribe and so on. And then obviously other people around the world, other shops or whatever. So yeah, making more videos.
Okay.
And like promoting everything, I guess.
Yeah. So going into the profession, essentially becoming a professional marketer in a way.
Yeah.
Content creation for the purposes of selling something. Yeah. Good. Yeah, it's a big one.
And then teaching also in a way. So having people come over here. I have the guest house, and could do flow retreats
Yeah, you have a kick-ass classroom
So,
for sure.
Yeah, so not necessarily maybe me just teaching, so I would like be teaching some of it,
Mhm.
but having facilitators come over and be here, and then having people come here to learn.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So yeah, retreat space, flow festival space,
Yeah.
kind of vibe.
I notice and that whether you're conscious of it or not, I mean, whether you made it the conscious choice or not, out of everybody I've met in South Africa, you have your finger in the most pots, or your spoon in the most pots, as everybody.
Yeah, so that
between
is
venue-
also a little bit of a problem with too many things.
Problem how?
Well,
Plowing too wide.
yeah.
You
it's
spread a
just
little bit
like-
too thin?
Yeah.
I think though...
So I'm working on being like really good at everything.
Yeah, sure.
Well, so
okay.
I'm like the timing thing is like making time for everything,
Yeah.
so that I, actually work on everything,
Uh-huh.
and it's.
We'll go over that too. I have a thing because I see myself in you, and I don't think there's any coincidence why we're first of all sitting on opposite ends of the table, but also where you're the first person I actually connected with in person here. I'm very much like you in a way. You didn't see me back in Oregon, but I was doing relatively the same thing. I didn't have a venue space like this, but I manifested venue space after venue space. I always had what I needed, and I was always able to specialize. The only thing I didn't really do is the prop making, but that's because I didn't have an interest in it. But I did have my finger in all the different pots I possibly could. And my diversity was spread so far and wide, though, that even when certain things fell by the wayside, it didn't matter because I just had all these other things to apply myself to. And I just kind of, I think that you may find that certain things will just naturally fall by the wayside, or you start to recognize how you don't actually desire to do some of the things that you do quite as much. And these 5 things will drop down to 4 things. And it won't even seem like anything changed. In fact, it might be a breath of fresh air for you. Because then you will be like, oh, okay, I don't actually have to worry about that like I thought I did. And you'll have more bandwidth. I think you have more bandwidth than you think you do. But because of, I don't know, because I don't know you super well, maybe you're spending a little bit of energy excess somewhere where you don't actually desire to, but you've gotten used to doing it. As soon as you let it go, you'd be like, oh, I'm so glad I let that go, and I have now extra energy, and I know I have extra energy for the things that I do love to do, and I am going to specialize in. Because when you're presented with so much, it makes sense to our egos to want to receive it all. But sometimes what's the smarter thing to do is to really take it and listen to your heart and think, okay, I received all of this, but I'm just going to take 2/3 of it. I'm going to let this 1/3 just go. I'm just going to let it go. Just go on. I'm not going to seek to get any profit or anything from it whatsoever. I'm just going to let it go. Just because the space and time that it opens up for me is worth more for this 2/3. And then you're able to really hone into your professionality because it feels like you have twice as much energy for half as much stuff. It's not exactly like that, but it feels like that. So we'll go over that in a moment too. Patrick, you want to go over yours?
Yeah, so it's perhaps a bit wordy, but it comes down to the way I can visualize it with Ikigai. Anyone notice like pattern?
Oh yeah.
So I've been doing flow arts for 20 years as a professional amateur. And I don't necessarily want to get money for that because I also have a disability allowance. So I'm in a very privileged position where if I don't work, I get more money. So it's been always a tricky part of what I want to do. And I think that what I love to do and what my passion project is like flow arts and impact play. And you also have what the world needs. So one of the things that I didn't write in my WhatsApp message is something like that I wanted to do like a non-profit organization called like Flow Dojo, where you could have masters and people that are making and facilitating a place where then teachers from abroad can come in, and you have volunteers that are supporting this. There's a whole other like topic that I didn't mention in my WhatsApp, but that's like one of the aspects that I also want to do. But for my profession, what I'm getting paid for, I want to get good at making BDSM floggers. And I already, thanks to you as well, got some wood and things. So I want to, within the next 2 years, get really good at that. So that I can transition from being on government aid to making something that is a passion for me, and also where I could get some pride of and like put my name under it.
Yeah.
So I would say that the 3 things that I want to focus on is trying to do impact play and making BDSM floggers professionally. Then flow arts it would be my vocation or my mission to support with a non-profit organization the flow arts. And then with the third one, and the third one is more like financial things. Is like I want to create passive ways of income in order to, with real estate, with like other like impact, like other things that I can invest in, so that I can retire within 10, 15 years, or choose after 2 years of like making these props, being confident that I can make them, make the decision either to like retain on welfare, but then still be able to do Flow Dojo projects, still do other things with my time. So it's like a little bit of like a mixed bag, but I do know that I need to do something with my gifts and my time, and to be productive in a way that doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, if that makes any sense.
Sure. That gets you something in return, though, for what it is that you're providing a service or a good towards. Yeah, and I totally believe in that. I think that there's a possibility that where we're at in our age and time, that to be more old school is to be more new school, as in like the barter system is more efficient than the economy or financial position, because things are so strange with numbers now. What was once backed by gold is no longer even backed by paper, but just a number that's just being added to a computer, and we all know that, and yet still the economy is still thriving. But where's the money going? What's being invested to? And a lot of people don't have it or don't want to pay it, but have something that they do want to give. Something that's been very challenging for me to believe in and put to the test and get awesome results from is I tell the person I'm wanting to do business with, look, both the process of giving and receiving should feel good in this. So do you have something that you would like to give other than money or other than something like that? And that would be of value to me. Because I've exchanged things that are something that I need that would have cost me much, much more financially if I would to exchange dollars or rand, for it. Whereas I just gave my service and they gave their service, and they valued my service like I valued theirs. And for both of us, it was much more than the official value. So I exchanged, in this case, this was a couple years ago, I exchanged fire spinning lessons, public fire spinning lessons, for a 2-minute promotional video, which I still use to date. It's still good enough. The phone number has changed, but besides that, it's still good. I still have it on YouTube. And that this particular quality of promotional video would probably have cost me somewhere between $500 and $1,000. Whereas the lessons that I gave from public lessons at the time, I was only charging like $120, for the lessons. And so it was much greater to exchange straight across. On a different note too, you can probably put in your BDSM props alongside your flow arts props, because everything is a flow art. And similar to Ron, you're using a prop though that could potentially hurt someone. And so and part of it is kind of to push that line between pain and pleasure, right? To learn about. So I think that's great, and you've got a good character at that, because you have kind of a natural madness about you. And in order to practice these sort of things, you have to kind of take that madness and ground it, And so you could be paid very well or be rewarded very well, not just by selling of your props, your objects, but also teaching how to use them.
Yeah, so that's like the word that I wanted to describe is like become a thought leader.
Yeah.
So one of the things in marketing which you can do, and that was also the video that I sent you about making vlogs. There's like, and that we'll probably go into later in this when we do the videos, is Nick's workshop of making whips. He was a kid like 10 years ago that made his first whip, and that thing went viral. He started off with small whips, like, and like, what is this, you know? And then at some point he got a viral video, 2 million likes, on how to make a paracord whip. And ever since, he consistently made, for free, a 2-hour-long video on how to make this prop. And now he has a massive following, a massive YouTube, and his whips, because he is a thought leader and because he gave this information for free, set him up a stage that he now can charge more for the whips he makes because it's made by him. So I think that kind of like a mindset of becoming a thought leader is gonna like use it as a stepping stone for your businesses. And I don't want to go too long because we have like limited restrictions, but like the nonprofit organization that I want to set up also gives me a thought leader platform of like, oh, what is he? Okay, I did this and that. So it's like within all these aspects will then come back to me one way or the other. So if I can make props and then barter for them or do impact play workshops, so there's like it like all like goes together, I think.
And I think that I see that your potential success, and we're going off on another tangent that would go into something that we would probably do more one-on-one if you want to, which is, would you like to make the decision of taking the risk of letting go of the finances that are coming in that aid your ailment for the faith that if you let it go, your ailment will go away and the money will still be there? Because I think that you're actually quite comfortable with yourself, but you're not letting yourself be completely comfortable with yourself. I believe that the condition that you have is actually just a sign of evolution. I don't believe it's a disease. I know that it can be a disease, especially if it's treated with the wrong sort of treatment, not just medicine, but also the practitioner or the doctor, the professional is doing it also for the wrong reasons and can throw you for an even more crazy loop. I went through it as well, and yeah, I probably could have gotten some sort of benefits, but then it might have made an impression on my mind that there's something wrong with me. And to me, no amount of money, once again, we're going back to that, the most primary thing about our wealth is our health, is for you to continue to more than believe in yourself, reflect upon yourself that you're crazy is the most sane thing you could actually ever be, you know?
So that's why I said the ikigai.
Yeah.
The ikigai, for those, like, you can look it up, like, it basically comes down to that you cannot be happy if you cannot be paid for your services. So if I'm in a certain, like, you need to have some, like, reputation that you need to be, like, doing. This is a way of Japanese of, like, long living.
Yeah.
So back to that point, I think that in the WhatsApp group thing, the 5 years that you mentioned, for me, I want to prove myself by not having faith, but having evidence of my persistence work. That is what I would go back to.
And something that I'm realizing that the masculine form of faith is persistence. I just learned that in an audiobook I was listening to, and they said faith is essentially persistence. It's not something there is a feminine side that's blind faith, right? Where you don't necessarily have, like, it's very much prevalent, like the Christian, that you're supposed to have basically blind faith in God. Don't question it, just have faith.
Yes.
And that doesn't work very well to the rational ego mind or the left brain mind. But there's two different types of faith. One is persistence, as in you create the evidence for yourself, which I have always sworn by way more. But talking about the capacity to manifest and experience magic, you can start to your ego mind can start to develop the faith in that. The question is how to go into those situations or those leaps of faith knowing that you're going to be caught. Some of those situations you're just going to have to get into the situation. Like, I just had to keep jumping to try and go around the world. I had to jump when I was ill prepared to do it and just be as attentive as possible on my way, falling, you know, and then know when it was time to back out, and when it was time to fall again, take another chance, and when it was time to back out again, until finally I'm like, okay, it's now or never, boom. And here I am talking to you guys 3 years later across 3 continents. Like, it's beyond faith now. I call it beyond faith. I feel it. I'm learning about how to teach it, but I can mostly only do the book smarts about it, which we're learning about, and here in a little bit of street smarts. At least just enough for you guys to have a little bit more faith that this stuff can work. But the ultimate street smarts, there's nothing anybody could ever teach you in any classroom. It's just something that you have to experience for yourself. And if you have that little voice inside that says, do it, you know, to learn how to trust in that, even if it breaks your heart, you know, because if you go until you're broken and you got nothing left and you still get back up after that moment, you are at that point invincible. Because if you can get up and still live your dream, even if there's no reason for you to, that's the mark of something truly special. And so even though I say to go into it with as much mindfulness and compassion and, you know, carefulness as you can, let yourself be broken. Let yourself do something stupid. Let yourself, just don't hurt anybody. Don't try to hurt yourself. Don't try to hurt anybody. And you will get through it. And you will be born again, you know, be full of faith, because you'll have experienced that irrational thing that everybody's ego mind told you not to do, and you did it anyway, and you were caught, and it wasn't just coincidence. There was something more to that. Maybe you'll never be able to prove it, but you prove it to yourself. That thing will help you to do whatever you want in your life. That's what I experienced in 2012. That's what led me ultimately to where I am today, because I realized as long as I keep focusing my mind on what I want to achieve and stop focusing on what I don't want to experience, and that be the foundation of everything. Writing, reading, getting the reminders back to myself over and over and over. I knew that was the key to conscious manifestation or conscious creation or like achievement, getting stuff done. That was both of the sides. It all grounded into making sure the universe knew that I knew what I'm about. And in the meantime, trusting that there was something beyond what I understood that would also come to me. Because the stuff that I'm doing today, I wouldn't have ever been able to tell you a decade ago. I'd be doing them now, you know. But I always was able to tell, and now can tell in retrospect, my daydreaming about being financially rich manifested me $65,000 right into college. I didn't know how to manifest, and unfortunately I had to manifest some, my mother passing away, and my mom's mom, my grandmother passing away, because I received that inheritance. But I daydreamed about being wealthy as a kid, and I manifested it into my young adulthood. I didn't know I was doing it until much years later, but now I realize my mind was focused on something, and my emotions and feelings were wrapped into those thought forms, and it manifested for me that very thing. I know it as a science now, but I can't ever make it be a science to you. From your perspective, to me, it's a belief. But to my perspective, to myself, it's a no feeling. I think about things in a hierarchy as you have thoughts, you have beliefs, you have no feelings, and then you have knowings. So we all know that we're in a room together. But you can also feel that a week from now, we will be back here. You don't know that until it happens. But it's more than a belief, right? You don't believe we're all going to meet next Sunday. You feel it. You can put yourself there. You can trust that I'm going to show up. You're going to show up. We're going to host this thing, right? So that's the thing, is if you can push past your thoughts, past the belief level, into something that you feel is real. You believe in yourself. You know that taking the steps, you know what you've learned here. You know that you've invested in yourself in this thing, and you're going to keep doing that, and you're going to keep taking steps. Whatever you can see and feel in the future is a no feeling. They're not beliefs. You can move right past them, because a belief is like maybe not. You know, I believe in God. To me, that's like saying maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, even though they might say they believe, like a belief is as good as a no feeling. But it's not. A no feeling is something you've experienced, and it's real to you, if only to you. And if you just keep re-experiencing it, it is your inevitable destiny that will happen. Maybe not in the way that you expect it, maybe not in the time span that you expect it to happen in, but inevitably it will happen. And that's really the most important thing. We're going back to what we covered in the first one, which is if you just keep writing out your thoughts, your future observations, and you keep rereading them, the universe has no other option. I call it cornering the universe. Eventually you put the universe in a corner, and you push it, and it's like, you want this, and you're like, no, this, and only this, only this, only this. Like a stubborn little child, and you just put it there over and over, and eventually it has no other option but to deliver to you what it is that you need. And I highly recommend that you embrace that inner little spoiled little shit inside you, and just get what you want out of life by simply just being consistent with your thoughts.
And even if you don't believe that, like, literally, one of the things that helped me, like, when doing this course, was, like, going to the wood shop and then talking about it. And instead of talking about the sun and the weather with taxi persons, I was talking about, hey, I am going, or I'm not going, I am workshop things. I'm making this, I'm going to the sex expo, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then the guy was like, yeah, I'm a welder. And I was like, oh, can you also make like things on the lathe? And he was like, yeah, my brother is a woodworker. So can I have your contact? Yeah, sure, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not saying that this is a manifestation to the like Oprah Winfrey or but it is by having it on your mind and just saying to everybody in the fucking fire jam, do you know someone who's like I am gonna be a fire like that, and it's basically fronting to a certain degree because I never made one. But if I'm saying I am this and that, and you just like then all of a sudden all these links that you would never have would show up.
We're going into another.
Sorry,
No, it's great. It's great. It's a deep. One could call it a philosophical topic. Is what's the difference between a liar and a truth creator? I would say a liar doesn't follow through with the truth they're seeking to create, and a truth maker follows through with them. Because you can just say it flat out, whether it's true or not. And you plant that seed in someone's mind, and they picture you as that, and then a part of the collective consciousness already puts you in that. And the more minds you can get to believe in what you're saying, the more probability, we could say, that you will manifest the opportunity to be there even very, very quickly. The question is, though, is will you follow through with it? Yeah, and that's what's really important, because if you can follow through with it, and you're always doing your best, and you know it, doesn't matter if anybody else knows it, you will inevitably get those results, without a doubt. Whereas if you're a liar and you work with other liars, you're not going to get the results.
No.
You're just going to keep
your
screwing
word
your neighbor.
is important.
If only to yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that awesome, huge... I love talking about this stuff, but let's move on because that's... we want to go into more specifics today. Yeah, just say it. Let us know who you are and what are your niches.
Dance and choreographing dance tops for me, and I'm approaching that from a sense of like the philosophical philosophies of like post-war Japan and Buto.
About what?
Post-war Japan. Post-war Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Where which is a time that I feel is very similar to now, where so many established orders have fallen away completely. So we're in this phase of what really are we and what is our environment, and so those are the sort of those are the inspirations for my sort of, if I can call it like choreographic notes or whatever, or just how to, and then bringing in altered sort of states of the performer through, whether they're inducing extreme states in their bodies through contortion or where it pushes your mind to be spinning fire while also trying to walk very slowly from another practice. And it's a combination of those sort of things.
So talking like high intensity emotional displays.
High intensity, quite strongly. So not entertainment for entertainment's sake. Entertainment that can be both. It can be very beautiful or sensual or sexual, and in the same instance can be grotesque. So sort of
disturbing.
I don't know if I can say this 5 thing, but
That's okay.
Yeah, so drawing a lot from psychology and how different dance communities have put themselves back together after major wars or eruptions of some sort, and then also just the flow state itself and its healing possibilities. And Des did a workshop, and I'd been looking into a lot of that trauma body work and EMDR and all of that before that point, and I saw another level there. So I don't know. That's just I think those are the sort of realms that I'm working in. Like I said, I can just say so. The dance with that deeper purpose, choreographing those dances,
So
performing in, and
it sounds like what you're describing here is you're looking to create a niche in both the performance and a deep healing sort of methodology
so yes.
in a performance way, not in like a teaching about how to move the prop and how to get people to focus, but to give them an experience that's almost like a pill,
Yeah,
a hard to swallow kind of pill.
So it's more of practice, but like a methodological practice for training and performing.
So I can tell that this is very emotionally connected to you and very true to you. And I believe that you actually should follow this. The only thing that I feel right off the bat is to make sure your batteries are charged. Your cup is filled. Because if you're looking, right now it sounds like what you're looking to do is find a way to heal other people's cups and fill them, so to speak. From war trauma, even.
No, well, I hear what you're saying there. I'm not trying to go into a wars.
No, I'm not saying, but sometimes, and I'm a healer, people would define too. So I know that to truly heal is to go back into the trauma and to bring it up to the surface level, because what happens is the trauma festers and continues to hurt when we try to just cover it up and keep it hidden, when it does still exist in the subconscious, or even through the generations of the people who survived the war, the kids who weren't even alive then are still experiencing the shock of the bombings and stuff like that. And I remember when it hit me for the first time too, because my country is the one responsible for it. So when it was all of a sudden in Japanese art history class, watching Barefoot Gen, this anime about a kid who survived the bombings in Hiroshima and what he experienced, and describing it in art form, because they don't let it put, it's too grotesque maybe for, maybe there's a movie out, but it was so impactful on me. It brought about an inverse injury, right? Because it's not me, it wasn't even my ancestors, but it was my countrymen who did the bombing, and I'm not Japanese or related, but I'm fascinated by Japanese culture. It was like an inverse trauma. It brought about something that the U.S. would not teaching people, right? They don't teach people about that. They don't teach people about the genocide that happened with the Native Americans and shit like that, right? It's all like the Germans, or it's all like something else, pointing always the finger away. And so it was like an inverse trauma, but it helped me to heal or enable health in something that I didn't even know was an injury. And it was done like in this beautiful artistic way, and it was so impactful. I'll never forget it. I'll never necessarily completely overcome it, but maybe that's similar to what you're looking to do with your performances, make that massive impact that helps people to heal by a collective understanding through your performance. Am I getting this correct? Give us some more.
Maybe it's. I think it's sort of everyone's own responsibility how they are going to move away from any performance that they see.
So it's just your job to present.
So it's presenting with. So it's like, okay, this is a methodology. This is a type of working. This is a way of working that I want to master as a dancer, and then to choreograph for other people as well, and to have a company that tours and does these things.
Okay.
And in those instances, there is an opportunity to engage after the fact.
Okay.
With not necessarily only spoken, but multiple kinds of media. So whether it is actually using, just picking up some props and working with it, but to explain the fire element very strongly for me is a strong ritualistic tool, and ever since I picked up a palm candle, it was not something I could let go of. So it does feel like there's a very strong ritualistic element of fire, and being able to stand in like the midst of danger without being hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the sort of thing.
So it's if we can summarize it, your niche is performance therapy.
Performance therapy? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like dance therapy, or you know how even yoga can be a healing art as well.
Yeah.
It's more of like, as you get into the movements and things come up in your mind, in your body.
Yeah.
As you stretch. All
Yeah.
these what's that book? The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
That's a really good book on like how we store trauma in the body and then ways to release it.
Yes.
So that's one thing, but also what you were saying about the ritualistic thing. I made a post probably a few weeks ago when I did my first fire mace burn ever, and I related it to an old Indian practice of fire washing. I can't remember. It's called Klesha Nashana Kriya. So, for instance, you know how your aura feels if you take a shower. So that's washing your aura with an element.
This
But you
keeps
can-
coming up, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. But you can also wash your aura with wind, which is wind bathing, but then fire being very potent as like a cleansing
Yeah.
thing. And that's for me, especially with the mace movement. When I presented my level 2 project, I had to explain what every move meant to me. And for me, the 360 move meant purification, because I was swinging the stool in my auric field, and it was getting rid of all that negativity and letting it go, but then adding fire to it actually became a ritual. It took it to a different level. So I kind of see, and I know a little bit about Buto, but not at all. I know some people who do it.
The other things I wrote down was like collaboration, co-creating with the audience, and like I pictured like sound healing, or even with the smoke thing. Like here in the Netherlands, there's like Gardens of Babylon where they have like they have like their performance, but then also come close to the people and they do like sound healing around them.
Cool.
And then you can co-create with the
Okay.
audience.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's some cool.
All right. So
things you can do.
then, so performance therapy as well as ritual or space holding for rituals or for ceremonies.
I think it's a very big part of it. I won't say it's the full thing. I think there's a part of me that also just wants a bit of a lighter element to my practice. But yeah.
I think the most important thing is for you to solidify, to be able to write into words, because you're giving us a decent description and we're all getting our own idea, and that is definitely going to be part of it, because everyone's going to have, whenever you incorporate really deep feelings into stuff, things get messy super fast, and you need to be able to be good at harnessing that mess, and when the time's right, cleaning it up, right, to make a mess again, to clean it up again, and that ends up being your job. But I think the best thing for you is to be able to understand what is the cup. How can you describe it to everybody, whether they have the trauma or not, what it is you do, so they can see it in their mind's eye the way you would like to implement it. Because your job is essentially to hold a very solid space for a very messy energy. That's where your professionalism, I think, comes in. It's not playing gender roles or anything here, but it's a very masculine energy. And as a woman, as a smaller woman too, of your stature, learn how to use your voice like a man. Learn how to use your mind like a man. Keep your shit together. Put your emotions on the side about the emotional things. Because the more you can do that, the safer space everyone's going to feel to come into your space for you to be able to assist in the directing or the performing of it. I think that's your niche beneath the niche, is learning about how to structure. And the first and foremost is get it clear and write it out and practice writing it out enough times to where you could explain to someone in 30 seconds exactly what you do, what you're doing. And then people will be able to put their 2 cents exactly into place where you want it to, which I think will lead to your success in that area. And I applaud you for it. It's a really challenging thing for you to do in general. But going back to the thing, I always want to teach people how to, you don't need to sacrifice anything. Keep filling up your cup. Keep filling up your cup, because you're going into this industry, you're gonna attract energy vampires. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You attract energy vampires no matter what you do, but you're just like, energy vampires, come on, let's go. Everybody with traumas and shit and leakages, let's have an experience together. So just take care of yourself. Take really good care of yourself, and you will take care of everybody else through that. A lot of people don't realize that, by the way. If you take care of yourself, we're taught not to be selfish, even though recognizing selfishness is a fundamental thing. Always fill up your first. It's just like on the airline. Put on your own fucking air mask if shit gets real before putting on other people. Because we don't need your body hanging around trying to be a hero, putting on everyone else's mask. You need your life support on first before you start helping everybody else with theirs. And hopefully in time teaching other people to take care of their own stuff, so you don't have to help them. You're just like, boom, and, everybody's masked already on. Okay, cool. I don't have to do anything. Sweet. Because that will keep you... keep going, like I said, with the house and the foundation. You don't just want to build this up one time and have everything go completely to shit. You want to build this thing up and make it last for long periods of time. But with the emotional energies, it's like you're trying to build a house earthquake savvy, earthquake proof.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be shaking that foundation over and over. It's like your job is to test people's foundation and try to shake that fucking house down. It's already broken. Let's break it all the way in a safe kind of way. So we can build it back up. So you realize it is okay, and you're not absolutely nothing, and you're not the damage you thought you were. You're the builder, you're the creator, And that
Not
sounds
defined by what's happened to you, or
Exactly.
I think I'm going to have to refine that a lot to understand exactly.
It's big. That's a really big topic. That's definitely the biggest one we've been talking about so far.
Especially considering the fact that this process brings that out, and you might not have had a proper picture for it beforehand, but had like a glimpse. So you don't have to be too hard on yourself to have it all figured out.
No, and it's like it comes.
Yeah.
Like even with the wood thing, I only remembered that like 3 hours later when I was thinking about something completely different. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too, because I find that why are all the best, most beautiful songs sad? You ever notice that?
Touch you. Really?
Emotive.
The most beautiful songs in the world, I find, are sad songs.
Yeah.
To me, the ones that move me, like, or movies for that matter, the best movies are the ones that I was like, damn, that was a good movie. I never want to see that again.
It's when we experience catharsis, we let go.
Yeah.
So, like, when we bring that stuff up, you're reminded of it, but you can also let it go in a safe way. To, you have a safe expression of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's Return of the King.
Return of the King.
Yeah, seriously, that ending when he says, "My friends, you bow for no one," tears every time.
I've got a number of them too, but let's keep going on. All right, finally.
All right, so my niche is creating epic entertainment experiences at festivals, corporates, events, weddings, whatever. So this is a project called the Psychedelic Theatre that I started 13 years ago. So with that, I kind of have a clear idea of what I'm doing there, what I want to do, where I'm going with that. But I think part of why I'm here is also to challenge myself, obviously to see what I haven't learned yet, what I'm not doing yet. But what is challenging for me is to actually creating content or doing something as me and not as my business. So I'm here to see how can me as Lanelle add value to the business. Of course, I'm always adding value to the business, but is it maybe a good idea to represent myself more as the face of the business and see what other kind of gaps I can fill? Like, for instance, making tutorials of hula hooping could in many ways benefit me because I'm already making hula hoops. We use hula hoops in the show, so if I create more content and build that relationship with other, new people watching the tutorial, watching the videos, is that another way of adding value to the business and to myself that I'm not yet actually doing? Because it's all like the business, and I'm just kind of behind the scenes all the time,
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Well, of course I was performing, but I'm always focusing on this business instead of, okay, what can I focus on myself to, does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And this relates directly to the first conversation we had, which wasn't even Florence related, back at Animus. And I really feel right now that, honestly, you're kidding yourself even by being here. You already know. And maybe I'm just here to give you that little bit of affirmation, that little nudge, because I think that you're already at the very epic professional level, exactly where you're at. And we're going to find whatever is the little resistance thing, and then all of a sudden you realize all those gaps are filled. They already were filled, and it's just going to push you from that, either that 98% to the 99, or maybe that 99% to the 100. Because I think that it's in your mind that these gaps are there when they're just the cracks of flexibility and the capacity to add more, to it and continually invest in it. At a certain point, I realized the project and the profession is never done. But that's not a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing, because it means you have ever more to build into the profession. And all the things that maybe you're a little timid or hesitant about, these seeming weak points, are actually your strengths. They were never weaknesses at all. They're just your potential strengths. And as soon as you embody and embrace the fears, you realize, what was I afraid about? I fucking love this stuff. These are all the stuff that I really wanted to do. But because I wasn't used to it, didn't know how to go into it. So we're just going to nudge that a little bit. And I think that you're going to find everything is going to flow ever better. And I'm really excited to see. Because it's already a great production as is. I've checked out all of your guys' stuff, by the way. Like, whatever amount that you have, I've been studying you guys a little bit behind the scenes, of course. And I can tell plainly, you're not lacking in anything. Like, you really aren't. But of course there's more to go and grow. And now we're going to go into more of that with the time that we have. I should always anticipate that the conversation goes on longer than expected. Does anyone have to leave exactly at 3 again? Or can people push it over a little bit?
We need to be in hubs by 4. So
by 4. Okay,
yeah.
But we could go to 3:20 or something like that.
That's fine.
Good?
Sweet.
No problems?
Gotta cut it.
Say again?
Gotta cut it to get back to
You have to cut it at 3.
minutes, yeah.
Okay. Just noted. We can't all stay for longer, but I am going to do my best to push it all into that 3 o'clock mark. We've got 20 more minutes. Okay, so, all right. Really good. Everybody's heard. Everybody take a moment, because there's a lot of energy. Ground back into the moment. Clear your mind and neutralize. So everyone's minds are stimulated, their bodies are stimulated, their emotions are stimulated. Come back to neutral. And you can breathe in through your nose, and I find breathing out your mouth helps to let go of some of the energy. In the nose is helping to ground yourself in the moment. Exhaling out the mouth is let go of the moment. Sink your shoulders down. If your shoulders have been going up towards your ears, press them down. But lengthen your spine up. There's certain instances, of course, we're talking about, you're not going to take my everything 100%, but please, with the chats that I'm taking, the assignments that I'm instructing you on, whether it be take a few breaths and really commit to it, to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying that you need to do it because Jesse told you so, but I'm saying you need to do it because you're trusting in my expertise. Something that's hard for anyone to do, especially in today's day and age, is take someone else's orders. And I'm looking to borderline direct you to order you, not because I think I know better than you, because I only do for myself in my life, but in your capacity to understand that to be a good teacher or a professional. Catherine, yeah, please I need you to keep her up. Is to be the best student that you can. Trust in the words that I have to direct you to the nth degree. Because what's going to be even harder is for you to take someone else's advice who doesn't have the expertise that I do. And to truly be a professional is to treat everybody else like a professional for a while, even if they're not. To project upon other an expertise that they don't have, or an expectation, or an honoring of someone else, because you're going to find that that's the best way to build yourself up, is by honoring everyone else outside of you to a degree that way overdoes what your ego thinks is reasonable for you. So all of these things I'm telling you to do, especially the breath work, please, at least for these 3 weeks, do it. Do it. Don't knock it till you try it, and don't knock it till you try it twice. As hard as you can, apply yourself. I promise you, I'm putting in a tremendous amount of focus into creating a particular momentum for you that none of us maybe can even anticipate. And there's something larger than myself that I have faith in, whether you have faith in it or not, that is also doing that in a way in which you will only get to if you really know you've put in your 101%. Because everybody, you might think that you put in your 100%. There's something I'm learning with Catherine and a handful of other people that I really work intimately with is, no, you don't know what your 100% is yet. Your 100% is probably more like your 50% that you just have gotten used to for a long time. And it's my job to push you to get to your 100%. And the only way to do that is for you to find out what you think your 100% is and push it even further than that. So whatever I assign, you should do it plus 10% or something, just like that payment thing. You should get what you want. Cost-wise, you should be able to courageously ask for it plus 10% so that you're always going in the right direction, knowing that you did your best. That would be the second thing besides neutralizing before every show or before every gig is finding a way to know that you've done your best. It'll create a value unlike anything that you can imagine, and it'll create an invincibility and a love that will be much, much more valuable, that will push you through in extraordinary ways that you don't expect. Because my job is to analytically, as much as possible, teach you how to be a professional, but there's something I can't teach you that you'll only be able to learn through actual experience, is that you are supported as long as you're putting in your 100+% into it. Not anything less than that, even if you don't feel like it, especially if you don't feel like it. You have to push it into a degree that doesn't make sense for you if you're going to get into a reality that is unbelievable, that doesn't make sense, right? It's a tough skill to learn, but just take my word for it. I don't know if any of my teachers even know that I did it most of the time. Maybe they do, but I would follow my teacher's word religiously, even if I didn't believe in it, for a while, until I was ready to become the teacher myself. And then I have the other thing of trusting my students religiously and learning from them, so that we build that faith, so that when the time comes for me to push you in that emotional way that I know is going to revisit your pain body, that I know is going to revisit your limitation, that I know is going to push you up to the brink of being like, maybe fuck him. Like maybe I don't like Jesse. Maybe Jesse is an asshole. Maybe all of these reviews, maybe all this nastiness that I gleaned from is true. But it's part of my job to push you beyond your limits, to go to that limiting cage and start rattling the bars, a little bit. And so all I can say is, really be a good student so that you can really be a good performer. So the next section that we're going to talk about now for this last little bit is your performance as it relates to being in front of a camera. I just want to go around really quickly on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is completely uncomfortable. It's the worst thing you can possibly imagine. And 10 being, I love being in front of the camera. I absolutely adore being on a screen or put in front of people. How comfortable are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
About a 7.
7?
Yeah.
Camera, I don't know, 10. I like it.
10? Okay, cool.
5.
5, okay.
So 6.
6, okay.
On the BDSM vlogger is a 1, and on the performance side a 10. Depends on how competent I am and what I'm doing in front of the camera.
What was a 1?
The 1 is like I would not be comfortable showing off my BDSM things like in front of the camera.
Ah, okay.
And I'm not comfortable with it professionally.
Uh-huh.
But if people are doing like what I'm competent at, like a 10, I don't care. I'll be in the promo video.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Cool, okay.
7, 8, depending on the day.
7, 8, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it depends what I have to do. If I have to dance, yeah, I can do that.
Oh,
If I have to
sorry,
speak,
I forgot to say speaking. Not like a speech, not necessarily like a speech.
Unrehearsed.
Either planned, but with no words in front of you, no prompter, right?
I think it's quite safe to say that naturally, if someone feels quite confident or competent in something, it goes higher. And I speak for myself. If I think that it's something I have a lot to learn on, and I think I'll be judged on it, then my comfortability will go down a lot.
Okay, so let's first of all.
Yeah, mine's also, I would say 5.
5 if you're talking, but what if you're not talking?
No, if I'm not talking, it's fine. I can.
You're great performer.
I think, yeah, if I have a script and I know the lines and I know what I'm saying, if you just like, it's a bit intimidating. So then I'm like, but if I'm an actor, so I can act. I can speak if someone gives me the words.
Okay, but let's just say there are no words, and you don't have to speak. What level are you in comfort?
Probably 10.
Like you love doing it. You'd love being in front of the camera if you don't have to speak.
Yeah.
But if you have to speak and there's no script, you get
and
cut
I
in
just
half.
have to be myself.
5.
Maybe maybe 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Okay, let's go back around the room.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant to say that, but you have to speak a few words that are not scripted. You don't have to give a speech, but you're gonna have to say something in front of a camera, and you don't necessarily know what it's going to be. You might have a plan in your head, but I'm not going to give you a prompter or a script. Go ahead.
I'm totally fine with that.
Totally fine.
Yeah, I'll improvise. Here I am. I exist. Deal with it.
Cool. Okay. So you're still 7, 8,
Yeah,
regardless.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking on a camera is just, that's a lot lower.
How much lower?
Like 5. It's not something I'm used to. Like,
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So
I would still say 5.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, if it's something that I'm teaching that I know, I think I can probably bump it up to 7, 8 or something. But if I had to, for instance, do a yoga class, like a 20-minute yoga class, and cue it, and do the movement, that makes it a lot harder for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Go ahead, and
For me,
Herman.
it's like a 2 or 3.
Really uncomfortable.
5,
Okay. Yes.
So for the lower, if I now have to present and fake it, I'm like this BDSM like master kind of guy, and I have to put it online. Everybody on my Facebook will be a 1. If it would be something about like a thought leader, something where I'm passionate about how to do this, I would be saying a 7. And if I would be like performing in front of a camera for a festival promo, I would be always in the fucking promo because I will kill it. So that.
Okay. Cool. All right. Sweet. Yeah. All right. Great. And Roxanne.
If it's an acting script with the character and everything, then it's just 10 out of 10.
I'm talking improv.
Improv, then like 7.
7 still? Okay, great. All right. So I can tell you guys that when I first started recording content, even though I had taught the flow arts before or the yoga or whatever the content was, that even though in my head I was still a solid 8 or 9, because I've always loved being in front of a camera since I was a little kid. As soon as I'm starting to record myself, it drops immediately down to like a 6, But after 400, 500 videos in the last 3 years, I'm right back to that 9, 10. Like it took a while, but it's like dancing, or partner dancing, especially if you're a guy, and you have to lead. At first, the humility factor is high. In order to present in front of the camera, because what's even more challenging about being in front of a camera, which is relative to an audience, is you don't know that audience. You don't know how big it is. You don't know what they think. You don't know. They could show up and hate you and be ready to assassinate you for something. Something extreme. You just don't know. You're talking into a camera, which is basically a dead object, but there are thousands and maybe even millions of people behind this object.
People with opinions.
And their opinions and their all of that stuff. And so I realized that. But at the end of the day, it's just another performance like any other. And it's something, they say that people are, I don't know if this is true for sure, but they say statistically speaking, people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death.
It's like a living death.
And I think it was a stand-up comedian. It might have been Jerry Seinfeld. He said, that means that at a funeral, most people would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy. And that always stuck with me. But when you're able to embrace being in front of a camera, which honestly, it just takes a few times to start to get a flow of it. And then when you see it, you will be quite full of ridicule of yourself. You will be able to pick out all the things that you don't like about it, all the things, because you are actually the main person that's on the other side of the camera and you don't know it. Because all the other people, that is like an aspect of yourself. Some of it you're going to receive, most of it you're not. We're all much bigger beings than we realize ourselves because we all think we're just this body when we're not realizing we're all the conscious energy from all the cosmos and all your ancestors and God knows what else, all incorporated into this human experience. But most of it you're not going to be ever aware of. But you're going to grow in the awareness of it. And this is the big part of the performance aspect why I wanted to talk about this today, because no matter what that you do in your niches, it's all going to come down to one way or another talking about it, meeting people in the eyes and learning about how to, you see how I'm doing this? I'm looking at you guys right now and words are coming out. This is not Jesse talking right now. It looks like it. My mouth is moving. The sound's coming through. I am making conscious choices about what I'm about to say. But for the most part, this is all a tremendous amount of experience and learning on one hand, making a fool of myself on the other hand, critiquing constructively on the third hand, and then throwing all of that stuff away and just opening my mouth and letting the words flow out. Because all of this stuff, I planned out this stuff at a certain point, but I always know also from years that it almost never goes to script. And I also know from big performances that the majority of the most pinnacle moments in theater and movie history are done completely by improv, was not planned at all. And I'm looking to refine that technique so well that I could create a script out of improv in the moment. You want to do choreographies. A number of you guys want to do choreographies. Yeah. The ultimate is when you're able to create a choreography while you're listening to a song you've never heard before on the spot with fire. That to me is a huge mark of masterfulness. When you're able to predict that drop and hit that trick on right that point. And that's what we're going for. And the only way, I'm sorry, you're going to get there is by making a fool out of yourself a handful of times until you're not worried about making a fool out of yourself. The second you are not worried about making a fool out of yourself is the second you won't make a fool out of yourself. But you only get to that point by keep trying. And that's the same thing that my daughter Prana is going through, that she's not aware that she's doing. And she's making a fool out of herself, but we all expect it because she's a baby. So you have to start treating yourself as you're a professional baby right now. And it's okay. It's okay to make a mess out of yourself. It's okay to look stupid. It's okay not to be perfect. What matters is more than anything is that you get right back up as quickly without skipping a beat as possible. You're going to say something, Halen?
Yeah, I was going to ask, so creating a choreography on the fly to music you've never heard before, to me that doesn't really fit the what a choreography is. Like, that's more very receptive, very intuitive freestyle. It's knowing your repertoire so well and understanding the structure of the music that's going on, or the vibe in the place where you're performing, that you can give the people exactly what they're looking for, just the right moment. I see that more as like intuitive freestyle than choreography.
What?
Sorry.
Because the choreography for me has to be pre-prepared. So yes, you have pre-prepared yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to be like replicable in a certain context.
Have I choreographed this class?
You've planned for it.
But have I choreographed? Is this choreographed?
No, it hasn't been rehearsed before.
But
It is exact.
exactly. But are you pleased with the performance? You can be honest.
I think it's working out. I feel a bit tight on time, but I think it's working
Yeah,
out.
I know. There's always more to share, and honestly, it's like I did my best. I'm doing my best
Maybe we
to.
should start an hour early.
Yeah, well, I was actually here an hour early.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're right, and there's two sides of the choreographed performance. One is very much structured, but if you're not careful with that, it can become very dry. And then the other side is the flip side, which is it's very underly structured, but you're having fun, and the audience isn't necessarily choosy. I'm doing my best to illustrate to you guys. You don't have to necessarily do it, but in order how to put those two pieces together. So the way in which I went about it, and I'm going to teach you about it, is you need to just go through the structure of creating content, because content is a good way to safely perform, because you don't have to put it out there. You can take multiple takes and delete all of them. And I have, you can talk into a mirror at your face. You don't even have to put the camera up, but you need eyes on you. You need your eyes on you. You need your friends' eyes on you, family members, the camera. Some eyes need to be on you. And you need to meet those eyes. You need to look at the camera. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. You need to look at your parents' eyes, your friends' eyes. And you need to get comfortable with that sort of scrutiny and learning about how to juggle what you know, the choreography, what you're trying to deliver, the knowledge, the performance, the structured thing that you plan for, alongside flowing through the mistakes or the slip-ups that are inevitably going to arise without anybody noticing. And that will only happen through repetition, as far as I'm aware. You might get lucky once in a while, and you might just nail it right on the head in the perfect place, perfect time. Great, congratulations. Not here to teach you that, though, because I don't know how to. I'm going to show you, and if for the people who are here for longer, we're going to go into it now. For you, we'll have to do it at another time. You can choose to be on camera or not. I highly recommend that you do be on camera, and I'm going to assign you a little bit more homework, but we'll also maybe get together another time, or maybe you can come a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later on the next one.
I could totally come earlier on the next one.
Okay, cool. So for what we're about to do, which is we're going to record you. I'm going to explain the equipment that you're going to need as you continually level up. The most important things that you have is any amount of camera. Everyone's got a smartphone here, right? Or everyone can get one. You don't need a really nice smartphone that shoots in 4K. You don't. It's going to decrease the quality. I think 1080p is necessary, but not even that necessary. The second thing you're going to need is any amount of tripod. Doesn't matter. This is a super cheapie. Like it doesn't cost.
That's portable as well.
Yeah, and it's very portable. Exactly. You're also going to need a microphone. This is a really nice microphone. I don't recommend that you get one of these right away. But what I recommend for your first time is on Amazon, there's a 20-foot long corded one, plugs right into your smartphone, and it's only like $25. I don't know what that is. It ran right off the top of my head, but it's not very much. But the difference between the stock microphone and any microphone, for the most part, I've never found a microphone aftermarket or external that was worse than the camera. I've seen a few or heard a few that are like barely better, to the point where it's like, what's the point? But for the most part, if you have a microphone attached to you, you need that. So those are the three main things that you need: camera, tripod of any type, and a microphone. Does everyone have that?
I don't have a microphone.
Don't have a microphone? Do you have?
I don't have tripod or mic, just selfie stick.
Just a selfie stick?
Well, it's a tripod, so kind of, but
Okay.
it's not like probably the best.
Okay. You have both?
All of them.
You have all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Herman?
Everyone going through
I
other
also
sides.
have them. I
Yeah.
just don't have a
You guys
microphone
need
for my
sound.
phone, but I have a proper microphone for my camera.
Okay.
Oh,
a lot of camera equipment, but I'm looking for like a lavender mic that can also be used for street performances. So I would be very interested in knowing
Yeah.
like one of those.
I'll
show
you one. I've got one here.
And then Roxanne, do you have that equipment?
Not a mic.
Not a microphone. You don't have a microphone either? Okay, so sounds like you guys need to all get together and order some bulk microphones. Because it's not really stressed enough. Everybody thinks that picture quality is the most important, but it's argued that sound quality is equally or maybe even more important for anything, because sound can be so disruptive. It's not just about having good quality sound, it's about not having shit sound. Because it can completely distract a person in whatever you're presenting.
It can actually make video feel cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It might be in perfect clear quality, but something about the fuzzy makes everything
Or
feel
even
distorted and
noise.
off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having that on the sound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Background relay.
Yeah. I
Um,
also do sound restoration if anybody needs, so just give me a shout.
Okay, cool.
Might pull you up.
Cool.
After that, what you're going to need, and do write this down, please. I'm kind of doing a hierarchy of what you need. So the most important thing is camera, tripod, microphone. Corded microphone will work fine. You don't need hundreds of dollars worth of microphone. Any amount of, $20 mic with an extended cord. I recommend that you get as long of a cord as possible. They're not as common as the short cords that are like 2 meters or 6 feet long. But it's going to be helpful because especially as flow artists, you need to be further away from the camera. So you need to have your whole body in view. It's not going to just be an interview camera where you're just showing up here and you can be close to the camera. You need to be far away. And so you need that longer cord. And I've made it work for me. I really like it. I just finally got one because I was tired of them breaking. You got to take care of them. Okay, so and then the next level up is a case, something to protect your camera. You need a stabilizer. So a lot of the new phones have stabilizers in them. In fact, I don't use the gimbal anymore, or not nearly as often. This is a gimbal or a camera stabilizer. So whenever I move, this is, it's actually not that expensive. And this one's it's on its last leg. It's been through
Stabilizer or gimbal.
quite a few. Yeah, there should be some sort of stabilizer. And that can,
How am I getting this? Find your Osmo. Is that yours?
yeah, it's this. Weird. Anyways, I'm going to turn it on.
Likes you.
Yeah, that's interesting that it picks up like that. Anyways, you either need a tripod all the time. You need all the new iPhones I know have incredible image stabilizers. I don't know what phones do and what phones don't. Or some sort of gimbal. This is a gimbal here. This drone has a gimbal there, and it keeps the image super stable. So it's very much like sound. You need a stable picture in order for people to be able to absorb. Because it's shaking all over the place. They'll be more distracted by the shakiness of the image, and you're going to lose your audience like that. And then finally, after that is extra equipment. I highly recommend the first big thing that you get is a drone.
Bye-bye.
See you.
we must talk. I brought your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
I think that a drone is the cheapest / most expensive, quickest way to up your performance game as it relates to online as possible, because it makes creative camera angles easy. Essentially, what you want to begin documenting is not just have something impressive to do and something valuable to say, but a creative way of framing it. Because besides attracting people through good sound, is creative angles. That's what captures. If a person is just recording like this is normal, my eye level, this is boring. This is not going to attract anybody unless what you're doing is really fucking cool or really, really valuable and you have a great stage presence with your voice. But I recommend that you learn about how to shoot different unique camera angles and experiment with that. And when you're ready, get something that helps with that. We decided on a drone because we're driving around the world, so we need to be able to capture ourselves in the environments that we're in, because we want to create really big, epic content that's not just about us, it's about where we are doing it.
For sure.
Yeah. And so with that, going around the room once more, I want you to think about and we're going to record this. With just 60 seconds, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk on camera about? We're not focusing on flow arts. We're talking to an audience about flow arts or about what you're going to perform or teach or present product-wise. You've just done it in this room talking to me and talking to each other about it. Now you're just going to do it as if we are a camera. And that's the first kind of trick that you're going to start playing is this is just our eyes. This is your eyes. This is your family and your friends. Even your friends who are going to ridicule you or give you a really hard time and you don't even know who they are. And who the fuck are you to say this? At least I'm getting up here doing this kind of thing, you know? These are also going to be your frenemies, which are the people that are just going to give you a fucking hassle for no reason.
Could you be more specific with your assignment? What do you want us exactly to do?
I want you to decide right here and now, what are you going to talk in front of my camera for 60 seconds on as it relates to flow arts?
So not regarding the business, regarding the flow or...
Well, it can be
you
any...
as a person and present something for 60 seconds.
I want you to provide me value.
Yeah, okay, no, that.
Any sort of amount of value as it relates to the spoken word from me, from you into the camera, and that's it. No expectations, no script. I just want you to talk about what you know, what you love, and do your best to bring about a sense of both expertise and enthusiasm, as I have been doing for you for the last 2 hours, as you have also been doing for each other for parts of those 2 hours. It's okay for you to feel foolish or timid about it. What we're practicing is getting through that and recognizing not only are you okay, no one stabbed you during the process of it, you're still whole, and better, you're richer for the experience because you realize it wasn't actually that bad, and you're going to get 2 types of rewards. 1, the fact that actually you did better than you expected, and 2, you also have constructive feedback now from your teacher as well as your peers.
Okay.
Massively valuable information. Trust me on this. You want ridicule.
For sure.
Yeah.
Greatest teachers.
You want people to talk about you. Any amount of information about you and what you did provides you greater understanding of your market, understanding of who it is, what it is that you may be lacking that you could fill your cup with. What you don't want, actually, is to lack and not know where you're lacking.
And people that just say what they think you want to hear. Oh.
Yeah, those are not actually your friends.
That's for sure, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have someone come up to you authentically and be like, that was awesome. I really like this, because it can let you know what to keep doing. But what you actually want is what you need to do better and what you need to stop doing. So I want you guys to think right now. It can be anything that you want. It just has to pertain to flow arts and has to pertain to providing me or an audience that you don't know, or maybe you have an educated idea as to who they are, value that would make me want to come, at the very least, come back to you for one reason or another, or subscribe, or reach out and hire you, best case scenario. I'm not saying have that expectation, but just that you've made an impression. I know that you're a person of value, and I'm going to come back to you for some reason.
Without putting a paid promotion in the video within the first 3 seconds.
No, because that would definitely lose me.
Yeah, no, that's the...
we live in times when people want everything for free, right?
Yeah.
So, and expect everything for free. So this ends up becoming our hardest thing is, how do you get someone to pay you when they already get it for free?
Or when you're mentioning money, it upsets them.
Yeah.
Turns them off, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be a big bonus. If you can also put a call to action in there.
Yeah.
And you can just mount it on
Or at least
don't treat
inquire
this...
yeah?
for people to give you feedback. Because that's an easy way to stimulate someone's interaction is say, oh, this is where I'm at, do you have any feedback? Because if they resonate with something, they say, oh, if you didn't understand anything, or if you have anything else to add, leave it in the comments and we'll talk about it.
Maybe, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that inspires me to give my feedback.
Okay, yeah.
Unless I feel like the person's just trying to get engagement.
I think that whatever you feel, you should say it.
Yeah.
You guys might find that your your minds are trying to make a plan now as we speak.
I think I have
I'm
some.
trying
But
not
you-
to make a plan.
You can also completely go off of your own script that you might be trying to establish right now.
But then it's
Um,
not off the top of your head. It's now it's becoming scripted, so it changes the exercise.
Well, I'm if I'm the expert here, and you guys are paying me because that's the game that we're playing right now.
Yeah.
Is you're looking to emulate what Jesse does in your own way, which is make a plan, but then open your mouth and just let it happen. And trust that you are doing your best. You're not at your pinnacle peakness yet, but the only way that you get there is by going through the humility of climbing up one painstaking rung at a time. And the only way that you get up there is by climbing. It's very, very simple. And every single one of those rungs is going to be a pressureful, stressful, humbling step. You can take as many breaks as you want to, but if you're going to establish getting to the top, you're going to have to establish it as a workout. Because at a certain point, you take too long of a break, you're losing your rung climbing capabilities, your muscles are weakening. So you need to find what the pace is. And what I recommended was the very minimum is going to be 15 to 20 minutes a day, 4 to 5 days a week. Bare minimum in order to just sustain whatever rung climbing capacity you have so far.
Yeah.
But you're going to need to push it past that if you're going to be at the pinnacle point. And I don't know what that is for you, but I think after this exercise, I'm going to have a much clearer picture as to where that is, and I'm going to know how to guide the final third section for each one of you individually as well as collectively. So you guys all ready to do that for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes?
Sweet.
Let's do it. I'm going to record it.
Sitting right here.
Nope, no, you're going to have to stand up
Thank goodness.
by yourself.
Where? Yeah,
It
because
feels better to
super
stand.
professional here with the.
I'll say you go ahead and go off of it from your expertise, but I recommend that you stand up through it. I don't know if it's easier or harder, but it's something like just notice the difference between this
Yeah.
and this. Which
Yeah.
one has your attention more?
But it's
Stand.
also
Yeah.
the voice. If you're like a salesperson, you stand up while walking with the phone. It's like you're more present.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going somewhere. Okay.
And you know what? I'm
And
gonna-
away we go.
Yeah, let's come over here. I want you guys also to put yourself in this position. That I might post this.
So
I
who?
my consent.
So when one of us goes.
Wait.
But the idea is just to get into your head. I want to establish some fear in you.
The next question I have is when one of us goes viral, who gets the money for it?
I'll split it 50-50 with you.
That, I've got my own YouTube channel as well, eh? So you can send the footage to me and I'll upload it.
I'm probably not going to post this stuff. I'm just getting the first item out of the way. But you can also hold space that maybe you nailed it. You know, this is that manifestation. 9 times out of 10, no, your first stuff is not going to be your best stuff. But it's going to provide you with the most amount of value. Inverse value, I'm going to call it right now, because it's not going to necessarily feel valuable, but it's going to become valuable. So pick a place in the room, look around the room. Where's your spot? Where do you want to be recorded at? And we can go popcorn, volunteering, or I can choose.
I'll have to go first.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. So,
With the
okay, so no music either.
yeah, we can
No
put it
prop?
in post.
No prop, no music, no podium.
No prop. I don't need a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just here to speak. Just put this down.
Once again, remembering the breath, neutralizing. Everybody just hold space for yourselves and England. And you feel the butterflies starting to flap, that's a good thing. We want to start creating a positive neural association to those butterflies flapping and then heart beating. That means you're about to expand yourself. You're doing a workout on your mental emotional self. So just like when you're working out your body, you create micro tears. It's not very comfortable, but you know it's good for you. you're experiencing the same thing right now. You need to, more importantly than anything, start to develop a positive relationship with nervousness, with intimacy, with something that's true to your heart and not very good at you, and begin to re-embody that inner child that knows itself to be limitless, infinite potential energy. And stop judging yourself as an ego, because you're always going to be limited that way. You're not your ego. You're the spirit practicing through the ego. And the only way that you release that spirit is if you put yourself on the spot and see what happens. And then you see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, you ready now?
Yeah. Which camera am I looking at?
That's a good question, actually. This bottom one.
The bottom one, okay.
Right here.
So nothing happening there. Okay.
No, it's right here. Yeah, okay, cool. All right. And I'm going to count it off. I say 5, 6, 7, 8. After 8 on the next one is when I press the button.
Okay.
And you can go anytime after that.
Yeah.
After 8. I also recommend, just for a little tiny bonus clue, you actually give yourself a couple seconds after I say 8 to start, and a couple seconds after you're done, I will stop the camera. Because you need that little bit of space to be able to edit or smoothly transition if you want to. You need that extra couple seconds of dead space even if you don't use it. Just a little extra set. Alright? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi, my name is Hayden. I am a professional fire artist, propsmith, and flow arts coach. Today I'm going to speak to you briefly about the flow arts community and growing the flow arts community specifically in lovely Cape Town, South Africa. So we are a relatively small community still. We haven't got the kind of background with the juggling world that comes from Europe and the scale of flow arts that's happening in South Africa. So it's important that we collaborate with one another to share skills and develop the community together, whether it's through teaching and practicing together or doing research and bringing it to share with each other.
Not bad. Not quite 60 seconds, but close
Is it
enough.
not? Okay, I couldn't quite tell.
Is it longer or shorter?
It's
Short.
short.
That's
Or
fine.
it needs to be.
Because I can talk for an hour, you know, so I can try and keep it concise. I didn't give any detail there.
That was good.
Yeah.
No, it was good.
Now you can give us a cue and it's like,
How do you keep time when
yeah.
Sorry, I haven't told you guys yet because I've done it so many times. I can tell you how long a minute is by just feeling it.
Yeah.
So you'll get better at that.
It felt shorter, like 40 seconds.
It's good because what you don't want to be, I think, even more is a run-on.
Yeah.
And filling more words where you don't need just to try and fill more space. Because like you said, you can talk more.
It's just an introduction.
Because what you'll have with that is you'll end up having too much to edit.
Yeah.
Biggest pain of representing yourself, either in person or online, is having to cut down what you need to do. Because you lose interest, audience loses interest, you want to be able to refine and give them just a free sample more than you want to give them a 4 or 5 course meal. You know? Even though the 4 or 5 course meal seems appeasing, if you give it to them all at once, it leaves them with less desire to keep wondering what's next, what's going to be more, because you want to slowly bring them out. Like the waiter doesn't bring the full meal out to you all of a sudden. You're going to be like, wow, that's great, but okay.
Half will be cold by the time
you know, one thing and the other thing, and you're like, oh more, oh more, oh more, and then you keep getting that higher. So we'll talk about that more. I'm just going to record it and I'm going to review it, and we're going to come back to it.
Sure.
So who's next?
I'm hungry.
Okay.
Where's that
Let's
way?
pick a slightly
Where's that
different
way?
area of the house. So you can use this area, but I'm gonna record it a slightly different way. Or maybe you sit in the chair or something.
Can I say?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
No, Amon, you're not allowed to.
But do your best to provide value. That's really the only rule here.
How are you going to let us know what the time is in?
Okay.
It's okay.
Tell you what I'll do is at 30 seconds I'm going to make 3. At 40 seconds I'm going to make 4. At 50 seconds I'm going to say 5, and that means wrap it up. Because you're about to go into a minute.
If it's shorter, like I don't know.
That's okay. It's okay.
And just kind of going.
Do your best to get over 30 seconds. Do your best to get over 30 seconds. Because if you just say 1 or 2 sentences, you haven't pushed it into that uncomfortable zone. You almost want to get to that point where you're like, I don't know what to say. You want to get to that point where the mental feedback, your self-consciousness, has come and disrupted your flow of thought. That's not actually a curse, but you don't know that yet. Your ego mind tells you that's a curse because you're not about to look stupid. But what it's going to do in time, if you can get used to that self-conscious feedback loop and just let it be the ringing in your ears. You don't pay attention to it anymore because you've gone through it enough times. You start to talk like I'm talking to you. This, how I've taught you and how I speak now, has gone through copious amounts of this, to the point where now I can literally put my conscious awareness in the corner of the room, looking down, watching myself speak, doing all of this stuff, engaging however I want to, and not disrupt the flow of what I'm saying. I can take as many pauses even as I want, and I still have your attention. Instead of the pause of like, where all of a sudden all you guys are like, oh shit. You know, to like feel bad for me. I can keep going and even talk about my flaws. But it got that way through literally hundreds of times of being on the hot seat, quite literally as Herman is now. So I want you guys to feel uncomfortable because I know you're going to feel uncomfortable, because the only way that you develop this muscle, this bone in your body, is to keep showing up to that uncomfortableness. And as soon as you get comfortable with the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable, I'm going to say it again, as soon as you get comfortable with the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable, is the second you look like a professional. And you look at yourself on the camera, and people look at yourself on the camera, or in any sort of setting, and be like, oh, that person's legit. Sure, they could be a little bit better. They're not necessarily the greatest speaker in the world, but they're much better than I could have done, and I can humbly admit that, or they're much better than I expected, or they feel like a TED talker, all of a sudden. You develop this ability to just hold yourself, and even though what you're talking about might not even make any sense, people will still be glued into you, or they'll still have their attention, and they'll still feel a sense of value, because now you're able to channel through what you hold valuable to yourself. And then you'll be able to attract the people who will keep holding value to you, and let the people go who don't. And both of those sides are actually equally valuable. Even though the capitalistic mindset will say, no, you need to get value from everybody. And that's like the smart business person would do. Sure, if that's your business, go about that way. But I believe that attracting the energy you want to come towards you is as valuable as pushing away the value that you don't need.
I understand you can talk for a long time and you have a lot to say, but we're going to have to go soon as well.
Okay.
So
Let's do this.
yeah,
Ready? Patrick, you want to come back over here?
Yes, I'm just already preparing.
Are you ready? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hello, my name is Herman Breitenbach and I'm a flow artist here in Cape Town. And I just want to tell you guys that I'm going to be teaching and I want to invite you to come and play with me. If you want to learn anything, we can do one-on-one classes, or you can come to the juggling club and we can all play together and I can teach you any kind of flow art. Well, not any kind of flow art. And especially juggling or poi, there will be other people as well, so you won't be alone. And I just want everyone to be able to learn.
Good. Same amount of time as you guys had. That was good. Way to push through it. There was that point where you got to the end, and then you're like, no, that can't be the end, and then you went to the next one. And you showed a little bit of intimacy, I think, that second that you realized you made a mistake, but you knew you had to keep flowing through it. Then all of a sudden, a part of you dropped its guard. Like it had to, and that's good. You want to get used to dropping that guard, because you realize, oh, I'm fucked now. Okay, who's next? Steven? Okay, cool. It's got to be in just a new space. It can be seated on the, with your, you just can't hide behind something. I'm going to present your point.
Like this.
Where am I?
Yeah, that's filming like that.
Sure.
I don't know.
Go ahead and just move the jacket and stuff. Yeah.
I'll stand.
You'll stand right there?
Yeah, I'll stand.
Okay. This is good. Can I get this turn on? There we go. So, ready? Take a breath.
Hello, my name is Stephen, and I'm a bit of a hobby enthusiast, and my latest one is the flow arts, and I'm very enthusiastic about it. And initially it was quite a challenge to learn, and it was just kind of a random skill to pick up. But the beautiful things about hobbies is as you persist, there gets a moment where you realize, hey, I can get really good at this. Like something just clicks, and all of a sudden it's fun, and now you want to find the community and just kind of expand your skill set. And I think it's also kind of like a very sort of like you grow as kind of a person as you develop skills and build up that confidence, and then that reflects in people, and that kind of makes you proud. And then you want to teach it to people to offer what you got to others. And that is quite an empowering thing. And I really think that journey, and then giving that journey is almost a gift to give to those around you. Cool.
Great. Yeah, that's perfect. You'll also find that as your mind begins to search for something to say, it automatically searches for filler words to clear in the gaps, because you don't believe that gaps are a natural and necessary thing. Pause and stuff like that. That's something that's going to just have to happen through consistency. And I know that I still do it too. I do my best to catch myself, or ask Catherine to make sure that I'm not using filler words. We all do it. It's natural. In fact, I'm starting to believe it's not actually that bad of a thing at all, but too much excessive use of it. Like you use the word "and" a lot.
I do.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't even notice it at first, but you will start catching yourself. You want to refine it to the point where it's adding more than it's subtracting. And giving yourself permission also to take pauses rather than filler words, to just breathe in that humble moment. Let the audience come to you. If you're trying to constantly give it to them, this is it, and this is it, and this is it, and they're going to go, whoa, okay, I get it, And it's okay to be like, here's that, I'll bring it back. Here's this, I'll bring it back. Pauses. Okay, who's next? I'll go next. Okay, cool.
At least "and" is better as a filler word than
It's arguable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's to the viewer.
Yeah.
But I suppose so, because "and" is a word that
Yeah,
puts things
continues,
together.
yeah.
I dig it. Okay, so you have to be a slightly different location. We already have Halen standing there.
Oh, already had that one.
You
Okay.
can go anywhere and
Let's do this as the background. Then.
okay, perfect.
Alright, and I'm looking at the
Bottom
bottom.
one. Yeah, bottom one. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi there, I'm Coach Roo, and welcome to the introduction to Steel Mace Flow. In this course, we will look at mace mechanics, the history of the mace. We will also learn the foundational 4-step flow, as well as the most common transitions and oh man, transitions and some of the flow. No, I completely missed.
Keep going. You have to keep going.
So, if you are ready to take this journey with me and you would like to learn Steel Mace Flow, contact me and we will get started.
That was good, man.
Oh, my brain just died.
It's okay. You started with the right energy, but then you hit a wall immediately.
Yeah, there were so many things that I wanted to talk about and then kind of forgot.
Yeah, and that happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like the floor, or I find it's like the floor. When I first started doing fire spinning, I knew I knew a lot of tricks, but then I got up there and I could do like 3 of them. And all the other ones were like, what the hell was I gonna do? What are all the tricks? I'll be like standing there doing the same thing. I'm like, I'm getting bored of this, but I know I know more. It's okay though. Like, I totally can relate to it.
Second take I would get it.
You're still going in with the right enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I was like recording, because I'm
That was
preparing you
literally
guys.
the intro to my course. Literally.
Oh, okay, so you've
No.
done that before.
No. I was practicing to do the intro.
Ah, good.
What it means is send in my position.
Yeah.
So if we do that like again, then I'll probably nail it.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect.
I
Intro, you reversed it.
No, I didn't. It was on the fly.
But it was really good. The intro.
Yeah, it was maybe drawn a little bit from the workshops and stuff.
Are you right where you are?
Yeah, I'm like gonna do it like that.
Okay. You ready? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi there, I'm Patrick from House of King. I'm going to teach you about consent in this video courses, and what I'm going to teach you right now is like one of the ones that are the first ones in consent. As you probably know, there's like the technique called the red light, where you have 3 ways of showing your permission, because consent in the end is about giving permission. So what you can do to check that in with your partner is to have some safe words. So one of the safe words is green, and that will be a yes. And then you could, if you say, for instance, yellow, that will be a pause, and red would be a stop. So in our next courses, we will also talk about nonverbal consent and how to use the red light system in another way, in a non-verbal way. Thank you for watching.
Well done.
Very nice.
Well done.
Well done. Well done.
By the way, even though Patrick might have had that whether he went first or last or anything like that, another word of wisdom just for you guys who are starting to practice this stuff, if you have the option to, don't go first. Don't go second.
I knew someone had to, so I was like, you know what, just.
And I appreciate that confidence. And honestly, like, I put myself in that hot spot a lot of times too. And there's benefits that come with that. But recognize you guys are all practicing through each other practicing. Mm-hmm. And as far as your takes, you're going to treat yourself like that first and second person. You don't even have to expect yourself to nail it on the first or second go of the take. And having that non-expectation might actually land you a perfect first or second shot. But don't have the expectation. By the third shot, you'll have relaxed, or you'll at least know whether or not you're ready to record. Sometimes by the fourth or fifth shot, you're still not getting it, go take a break. You're flustered, you're not ready to record. By the fourth or fifth shot, usually it means you're ready to record or you're not. Come into it when you feel enthusiastic, but you also sometimes will have to force yourself to be enthusiastic, as I'm doing right now. You need to force yourself to go through that first and second and third maybe take, and just suck and just be like, fuck, I don't want to do this. But you do it anyways, and that's when you gain the most. Alright, so last but not least, let's do it.
Where are you going to be?
I'll maybe here.
Just right there?
Patrick was here, maybe I could be
Perfect.
here.
Kind of gone in a circle.
Or should I, where you?
No, right there, that's good.
Okay.
Let me just move this. Yeah. Take a breath, just take a breath.
Okay.
Bring your head energy down to where your feet are. And there is no expectations. Everyone sucks the first time. It's just natural. I've gone through it too. I'll show you guys some of my earlier shit.
Okay.
You ready?
No.
Ready or not?
I'm just trying to think of my first words that I want to say.
You don't have to. You can just start talking, and that's the point. The point is, it's just as much being not prepared as it is being prepared.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
You can hula hoop. It's not you. It's the hula hoop. Hi, my name is Lanelle van der Kolk. I'm a professional hula hooper and entertainment producer from the Psychedelic Theatre. I'm here to tell you today that you can hula hoop. Hula hooping is like riding a bicycle. If you were able to do it when you were a kid, you can still do it. You just need the right size and the right weight hula hoop. Now the ones that you get into the ones that you buy in the shops are not made for adults, and that's why you think you can't hula hoop. You need a big hula hoop up to your navel where it is and slightly weighted, because the bigger the hoop, the slower it rotates and the easier it is to hula hoop. So if you need an adult size hula hoop for yourself, please contact me at the Psychedelic Theatre and we'll ship one to you.
Wow. Clearly, you've done something like this before.
Yeah.
That was not your actual first take. Like that seemed practice. When have you said something like this
So we'll
before?
move now.
Okay.
I
really not.
I should contact them.
Well, then, what we're talking about at the table is even more prevalent now. The gaps are not nearly as there as you can get. That was very professionally done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Honestly, that was nearly perfect.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you had me so drawn in, I just was track and didn't give you the sign for work. So I was like, is that hoop like naval height? You know, like I was drawn in by the information that you're applying. So very nice job in providing the value. You're also providing the value. I'm not saying not everyone here wasn't providing value, but there's a difference between providing value and trying to provide value.
Yeah, there's too much.
Yeah. Anyways, good job, you guys. I'm gonna give you more critiques and talk to you about this directly as well as next time. Oh, sweet.
Yo.
Alright, good job, you guys. Thank you for pushing the
that
extra.
was fun.
Yeah.
Really? That
You maybe look back on this experience fondly, even if it wasn't fun.
I really
That
enjoyed
was
it.
epic.
I just thought I could feel my hands.
Yeah.
And they see I'm shaking. I can feel myself shaking.
Yeah.
We were all shaking, so it's actually fun.
Yeah. Eventually.
But now I really want to know.
You want to do? Yes! Maybe it's older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You may surprise yourself.
Yeah, I think this is exactly the confidence that I'm wishing to develop and build, is to just be able to speak confidently